Chapter 56:18. The origin of the opponent is very similar to him, although it is completely opposite, but to master the power of death, the origin of the earlier period must be similar to him. It is also extremely. If this is the case, then it makes sense. Extinction came from the time and space of Morwa in the ancient times, and the time of God in the time and space of Morwa. Maybe Dongjun was still alive, and later fought against extinction. In this way, then the current Dongjun has a high probability of falling, and the future extinction is still alive. At the end of the star random era, the power of extinction is probably not weak anymore. At least it is the 5 tribulations. Jian Wushuang murmured to himself, letting Huang Di on the side know what to do. Senior. Huang cried cautiously. Jian Wushuang came back to his senses, leaked a smile, and said, "I am not a man of God, but just like you, I have been bestowed by God." The other party answered his doubts, and he had nothing to hide. After all, he was an ancestor. Saying it means not saying that these people just live in this small piece of time and space, and they will soon disappear, and they are not enough to change history. I chatted with Emperor Huang for a while, this time mainly discussing the chaotic star field. At the same time, he also inquired about an existence called Qi. But Huang didn't know him. This made Jian Wushuang very surprised. According to common sense, at this time, Qishan should be a resounding character. How come Huang hasn't heard of it? Could it be said that the true fate of the gods does not contain the ambiguous words? If this is the case, he is unlucky. By the way, he asked about the existence of some catastrophes in the human race. After not finding any special existence, he heaved a sigh of relief. Now he has no need to stay. This time and space is too big. The more you delve into it, the less you can see any clues, only a few words. Just when he was about to leave, Huang stopped him. "Senior, is there really life in the Chaos Star territory?" This was Huang's biggest doubt. Because at the beginning he had seen a moving old man in the heavens, but the other party did not have the power of life, but instead represented death. Jian Wushuang was asked this question. He really didn't know, but he didn't panic either, but instead asked, "Why do you think so?" Huang didn't reserve this time, so he told the scene he saw before God broke. The mark on Jian Wushuang's eyebrows kept flickering. Extinction? Yes. Jian Wushuang finally said a word, and then left directly. The origin of extinction is probably related to God. The mysterious person who fought with Dongquan also had a high probability of extinction. This world-destroying old man does not belong to this era at all. It is an old monster that has crossed over from the oldest era. At least he is a strong man in the same era as Dongjun. He directly tore through the universe and entered the long river of time and space. The power of thought spread, and the nearby cracks were instantly felt. The space of this space-time fragment is not too big. It just covers a few universes. It's far less huge than the continent that I visited for the first time. But it is much larger in space because the distance between each universe is huge, and the intermediate distance may be able to store tens of thousands of universes. Flying in this chaotic void, the speed is not so fast. Extinction. A bold thought appeared in Jian Wushuang's mind. If he killed Exisheng ahead of time, wouldn't there be so many things in the future? No. Jian Wushuang shook his head again. Extinction does not belong here either. He can't find the time period when extinction was born. Even if he finds extinction now, I am afraid that the opponent's strength is much stronger than him. In this case, he can only give up this idea and start a long layout for the future. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang began to deliberately search for the strong men recorded in the Temple of Qishan and constantly speed up their process of entering the road of cultivation. The first is the White King, who has some connections with Jian Wushuang. Although in the future, King White will die miserably, even before the age of the gods, King White will be nothing more than a small person. Cannot set off too much waves. But with his help, King White's strength will most likely exceed the future. Maybe it will give him a surprise. In addition to King Bai, Jian Wushuang dived into this universe, constantly searching, and found that at least 6 universe masters would be born in the future of this universe. This is in addition to the Desolate Master. These 6 tribulation realm powerhouses, because they were born relatively early, have caught up with the peak age of the gods. They are very powerful, and they are also the top group of people under the gods. Each is the master of the 4 tribulations realm universe. Only now, they are only earth immortals. It is Yenxian on the way to explore the avenue. With Jian Wushuang's qualifications, enough to teach these people. At least let these people understand that it is not as good as if the ultimate way is not cultivated to reach consummation. Now that you have mastered the ultimate way, you must cultivate to consummation. Every realm is cultivated to the extreme, and only in this way can we lay a solid foundation for the future and become the pinnacle powerhouse among the masters of the universe. In a cosmic secret, the 7 disciples under Jian Wushuang's command were besieging a desolate beast at the celestial level. The strength of this desolate beast already had rank 9 combat power. The 7 disciples are all earth immortals. It was extremely difficult to besiege and kill a desolate beast with the power of the ninth rank celestial immortal. But if it's simple, it won't let them besiege together. Jian Wushuang snorted coldly when he saw their embarrassed look. Angrily shouted, "A mere 9-turned heavenly immortal makes you so embarrassed? How can you become a peak power in the future? Stand up for me." At the beginning, when he was just a fairy cultivator, he would be able to kill the ninth rank Dian fairy alone. Dao Jun is even more invincible. These guys are at this level. He really doesn't know how to become the master of the universe. 6 of them are already definitive masters of the universe, and there will be records in the future. There is another one who has talents leading the other 6, but there is no record of the other party. I am afraid that in the future, there will be a high probability of death. But Jian Wushuang didn't give up on the other side. Maybe he could reverse history. Boom. Hearing his scolding, several disciples have also exploded to their full potential and attacked again. Only then did Jian Wushuang smile with satisfaction. These little guys, it's time to break through. For millions of years, he has taught everything he can. After becoming an immortal, to embark on the ultimate path, they need to work hard alone. A drag force comes from the sky. Jian Wushuang knew that he was leaving. At this time, the 7 people formed a formation and completely suppressed the wild beast. "Master, we did it." Several disciples came excitedly. You can see Jian Wushuang's complexion, which is not very good, and it is often distorted. That was the countercurrent of space and time. Jian Wushuang might leave at any time. Chapter 56:19. Master. These disciples naturally did not know why this was, and hurried forward. Jian Wushuang stopped them, barely let out a smile of relief, and said, "You are excellent, I am very happy, but I was seriously injured and there is no way to survive. Remember to practice hard." "Who is it?" Several disciples asked one after another. Jian Wushuang has been a master and a father for millions of years. Hearing that the master himself was hurt, I wanted to know who was able to seriously hurt their master. "Stupid boy, don't ask too much. There will be an announcement in the future. You don't need to avenge me." Jian Wushuang shook his head and said so, but he still took out a mustard seed and said tremblingly, "This is what I left for you. The treasures you leave, practice hard, don't say it's my disciple." These treasures were all searched out by him in this cosmic secret realm, enough for these 7 people to cultivate to the 5th order emperor. If you want to become stronger later, you need to travel to the long river of time and space and go alone. Jian Wushuang's figure began to slowly disappear, and finally returned to the vortex of time and space. The 7 disciples washed their faces with tears, and even the master's body was not left, so they could only get Jian Wushuang a cloak. And at the top is also signed, Wu Shuang Jian Tomb. The future of these 7 people has indeed changed the history of the era of the gods, but it has not affected the extinction. Because the strongest among them has just reached the pinnacle of the 5 tribulations realm. It's just that Jian Wushuang has been in the vortex of time and space, and he hasn't confirmed it in the Qishan temple. How difficult it is to change. After Jian Wushuang left the space-time fragment, he entered a huge space-time fragment again. Another reincarnation. And this time, Jian Wushuang came to the oldest era in Morwa time and space. Ancient times. This is an era without human races. The era of wild beasts rampant. In the fragment of time and space where he was, there was an innate beast god. When Jian Wushuang felt the breath, he was scared to gasp. He turned his body into the appearance of a wild beast and started to practice with reference to the innate beast at a location far away. It's just that this desolate beast is not a candle dragon. Otherwise, after feeling the candle dragon kit on his body, I am afraid that he will not be spared. After millions of years, Jian Wushuang disappeared again. This time he has experience and can calculate that era based on the surface of the spacetime fragments. Then went to the time period when the era of God came. He felt that the appearance of the human race had a lot to do with the time of God. In the age of God, only the human race could get the totem of God, and the heavens behind were shattered and the chaotic star field turned into is also because of the human race. After the great prosperity of the human race, a chaotic star field appeared. Most of the treasures were taken away by the human race. After the age of prosperity, those wild beasts could not compete with the human race for treasures. Even the primitive universes formed by the innate are occupied by the human race. On a swaying sacred mountain, Jian Wushuang looked at the divine light in the sky behind his hands. A moment ago, it was still ancient. The next moment is the time when God descends. From this moment, the human race began to be bred from the life of all things. At the moment human race appeared, Jian Wushuang obviously felt a powerful soul power descend on the mainland. It really has something to do with God. Jian Wushuang stared at the shining divine light of God, frowned slightly, and felt eager to try his upper body, wanting to go in and see what happened. This God must have something to do with the human race in the starry sky. Maybe all the secrets lie in it. Boom! Under the ray of light, Jian Wushuang saw the totem leaked by God Lu. Under such a shining light, there is a huge horror hidden. The secret of Morua time and space. Jian Wushuang's eyebrows flickered, and the next moment he went directly to the top. The power of the starry sky burst suddenly. The flesh swelled in a circle for it. He couldn't handle this power. Ha! Jian Wushuang instantly wilted. This time, he was more convinced that God came from the stars. And Miexing is a character of the same age as Dongjun, a strong man in the starry sky. The secret of the starry sky is not the only one. Jian Wushuang got up with difficulty. For him, the starry sky is indeed not the only one. Perhaps he will be able to defeat extinction by leaving the starry sky. The other party came from the starry sky, which shows that Miexing knows the starry sky better than him. And also know that he has the power of life. This is a chess game set from the beginning. Through the light of God, the two forces face each other. Among the heavens, on a dilapidated wooden boat, extinguished life carrying the soul lamp, wandering to the heavens. Jian Wushuang slowly raised his palm. When he first touched God, he also felt a force of death. Extinction is just above. It's just strength, stronger than he thought. The extinction in the heavens may be stronger than the future gods. It seems that if he hasn't crossed a time and space, his strength will drop sharply. Jian Wushuang had an answer in his heart. The extinction in the heavens is probably an existence beyond the seven tribulations realm. After the divine destruction, the extinction reaches the Morua time and space, only half the strength of the seven tribulations realm. Now in the time and space outside their original universe, I am afraid that the strength of extinction will be reduced. It's just that the real spirit doesn't know this. In the future world, in order to swallow him, extinction chooses to cut the realm and fall to the top. Maybe it's not that the other party is willing to cut the realm. It's that extinction has entered the future just like him. Extinction has crossed time and space many times, but he himself has not reached the point of completely mastering time and space, so he will fall every time. When it comes to the future time and space, only the ultimate combat power is left. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang was decisive enough to choose to die directly in the future world. Extinction will have to return to the current main time and space. It's no wonder that the inner demon doesn't know Miexing, because Miexing didn't take the inner demon seriously and chose to do it himself. After knowing everything repeatedly, Jian Wushuang couldn't help feeling afraid. Past and present lives, as well as the future, are all laid out for extinction. Then he came here. I'm afraid it also has a lot to do with extinction. His layout, I am afraid, from the perspective of Daixing, it is like a child's play. Almost calculated by you again. Jian Wushuang looked up at the rays of light emitted from the heavens. If he is entangled here, he will face extinction eventually, and he will not be able to escape by then. Fortunately, with good luck, the fragments that entered Moro's time and space for the third time did not encounter extinction. This time it was the closest, but it was a pity that extinction couldn't come out now. This is the early days of God's era, and extinction will never come down. After Jian Wushuang figured it out, he couldn't help laughing and saying, "Extinction, you count it, after all, it's not the way of heaven, I will kill you in the future world." The future world he entered for the first time was the future designed for him by Meisheng. That is an inaccurate future, and he will not be affected. Everything is up to him. If he really fails, he won't be able to die. Chapter 56:20. The extinction in the heavens seemed to hear Jian Wushuang's words, and the power of death exploded one after another. Anxious, anxious. Jian Wushuang shook his head and laughed. He did not expect that the extinction in the heavens, completely furious, directly cast down the power of death, condensing countless extinctions. Jian Wushuang. Each of these black phantoms has the ultimate combat power. Jian Wushuang was also taken aback at first, only to look at it for a while, and found that these black phantoms were all transformed by the power of death. Although they had superb combat power, they could not last and could not threaten him at all. "Meisheng, your calculation is perfect, but it's a pity that you missed a little." Jian Wushuang stood on the top of the mountain, overlooking countless black phantoms, transforming and fusing together, and the aura continued to grow stronger. But Jian Wushuang didn't panic at all. Even if they are fused together, the ultimate is the ultimate after all. After he draws on the power of the starry sky from the heavens, he can reach the tribulation realm in an instant. In this place, Jian Wushuang did not die in the slightest. Fusion's extinct complexion changed, and he was surprised. What did this seat miss? You should know that I have been to the starry sky, but you would never think of my identity in the starry sky. Jian Wushuang looked down below, leaking a sneer. Meisheng narrowed his eyes, disdainfully said, "Oh, really? Even if you have a relationship with Dongjun, I don't care, because Dongjun is dead." Dongjun. Jian Wushuang held his head up, just as he had guessed. Dongjun really died at Meisheng's hands. Meisheng continued, "You really know Dongjun. Apart from him, I don't think anyone can make you so calm. You only need to know one thing now. I am the only one in God and no one can save you. You can actually kill Dongjun." Jian Wushuang pretended to be surprised. In fact, he knew very little about the starry sky human race, because the original starry sky human race was so weak that he didn't pay attention to it at all. So if you take the opportunity to kill the life, you want to know more about how the starry sky human race in the heavens has perished, or how strong it is. Seeing Jian Wushuang's surprise, Meisheng sneered and said, "Do you really think Dongjun is very powerful? Compared to Shinkong, he is just a worm. I am the real overlord of the starry sky, the choice of the human race." I don't believe it." Jian Wu's double-faced color sank slightly, and then said, "Dongjun's strength, so powerful, how can you lose to the Six Tribulations realm?" Meisheng couldn't help laughing after hearing it. Yes, the Six Tribulations realm is indeed not Dongjun's opponent, even the Divine God, it's not Dongjun's opponent, but this seat is the Nine Tribulations realm, believe it or not. Meisheng raised a finger and pointed to it. Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang didn't dodge and didn't dodge. He only dissolved the aura at the front, sarcastically. "If you are in the Nine Tribulations realm, you still need to swallow the life force? Didn't you control time and space early and travel at will?" He broke the lie of extinction in one sentence. It's not necessary to pretend in front of him. After being exposed, Meisheng's face changed drastically, and he shouted angrily, "Boy, you dare to play with me." Only then did he understand that Jian Wushuang already knew his previous layout. Immediately, he started directly, and the condensed death body turned into a black mist, which instantly eroded the heaven and the earth, causing the entire space to lose the power of all things. Complete death, it was a desolate landscape. Jian Wushuang stood still. Eternal change. Under God, he is invincible. Because there is a huge amount of starry sky power in the heavens, which is continuously declining, entering Jian Wushuang's body, allowing him to instantly reach the power of the robbery realm. This scene stunned the life. He didn't expect Jian Wushuang to be so powerful with the help of the power of the heavens. His deity is equally powerful in the heavens. This is the unique power of Shinkong life, how Jian Wushuang can master it, and it can still be so powerful. What realm are you in the starry sky? Miesheng couldn't help asking. However, Jian Wushuang kept silent and shot directly. He didn't want to say a word about extinction, otherwise he would be calculated by the other party. When he came up, he shot with all his strength, facing the death body. His life force broke out, and the life force controlled by the robbery directly dissipated the breath of death. This consciousness of extinction was also instantly defeated. At the moment when the opponent was defeated, Jian Wushuang squeezed the remaining consciousness of extinction. Want to run? Jian Wushuang pinched the opponent's incomplete consciousness and directly sealed it in the long river of time and space on the Guantian chessboard. After Miesheng's consciousness entered the Guantian chessboard, his complexion changed drastically, and his tone was incredible. How can you have the treasure of time and space? I really can't tell you this. Jian Wushuang finished speaking, and directly suppressed the remaining consciousness of extinction to the bottom of the Guantian River. In the sea of origin in his body, the power of death that was hidden from life was also grasped by Jian Wushuang. Now you have lost the madam and broke down. With the consciousness of extinction, plus the power of death, he can completely create a Dharma body that exterminates life. Miesheng can swallow him, and he can also swallow Miesheng. This is also a great opportunity for him, but it is too difficult to get this opportunity. Now that Miesheng had fallen into the endgame he had set up by himself, Jian Wushuang only needed a Dharma body to swallow the extinction Dharma body to be able to master samsara in advance. But this can only be done when he reaches the Emperor. The complete reincarnation, the power contained, is really not weak in time and space. If Jian Wushuang is expected to reach the 9 tribulations in the future, then he will be able to master 2 abilities. One is time and space, and the other is reincarnation. The sum of the 2 is the cycle of time and space. This is much more powerful than pure time and space. Back then, Teacher Xuanyi was able to find him only by relying on the power of time and space. When he masters the cycle of time and space, he may be able to escape the long river of time and space. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang was a little excited. Thanks, extinction, I won't give you another chance. Jian Wushuang decided to leave. When the time and space vortex, he did not explore those fragments again. Ukanshu. Calm has to leave everything. It's just that now this fragment has not been completely consumed, he still needs to wait here. In God. The dying man stared at Jian Wushuang below, his eyes deep. How could he know? As Jian Wushuang said, once the power of reincarnation was first mastered by him, the chance of extinction would be very small. But now all the methods available are used, just can't hold Jian Wushuang. Master, I am afraid I will be defeated in this life. Miesheng slowly closed his eyes, and the figure of Master appeared in his mind. That is the real Lord of Death. A pair of colorful corpses. This is the extinct Master. This corpse did not know when it entered the starry sky, and when it disappeared completely. Chapter 56:21. After Jian Wushuang sat for a few years, his figure began to dissipate. Before he left, he did not forget to taunt and die. Just make the other person angry. He is not afraid of the other party's dog jumping over the wall, he is afraid that the other party will not speak, as if he is preparing for some insidious trick. After the figure disappeared, the extinction in the heavens also disappeared, returning to the long river of time and space outside the original universe. But this time Jian Wushuang left the space-time vortex directly. It turned out that the time and space vortex existed because of the consciousness of extinction. After the consciousness of extinction left, Jian Wushuang also appeared directly in the cave of Mahayana Lingshan. No way, all the moves that should be used were used, and Jian Wushuang also understood his layout. Want to rely on luck to let Jian Wushuang meet his deity. It's almost unrealistic. And Jian Wushuang wasn't a fool either. He wouldn't enter the fragments of time and space, and could directly rush out of the vortex of time and space by virtue of his thought power. It's just that at the beginning, Jian Wushuang didn't expect it to be the layout of extinction, and thought it was impossible to get out. After leaving the time and space vortex, returning to the cave of Mahayana Lingshan, he found that there was plenty of light and there was no darkness at all. On the walls on both sides are exquisite murals. A few steps ahead is the exit. Call. Jian Wushuang took a sigh of relief and finally returned to the real world. He has experienced too much these days. Take a step, leave the cave in an instant, and reach the entrance of the cave. Gong Miaoi and Qianxing Buddha were waiting for him outside. Thank you too. After Jian Wushuang came out, he gave a fist to the two of them. Gong Miaoi didn't say much, and stepped aside. Thousand Star Buddha put his hands together and said, "This yellow beam dream of a good man, I am afraid that he has gone through many difficulties and dangers. Let's go to the Gyuti tree and talk about it. Where can I help the good man with a good futon? Calm your mind." Thank you, Thousand Star Buddha Lord. Jian Wushuang put his hands together. Thanks again. It's just that he is now complete with Dao Xin, and he doesn't need external objects to repair his state of mind. But the other party was sincere. How could he be embarrassed to refuse? Jian Wushuang turned his head and glanced at Gong Miaoi, and tentatively said, "Together?" "No." Gong Miaoi shook his head. Seeing the other party's determination, Jian Wushuang was not good at persisting, but he still handed out a mustard seed, which contained Nie Yuan's kendo inheritance and some treasures. Make up for it. At the beginning, he also regarded the opponent as a pawn. Speaking of which, if Gong Miaoi didn't meet him, there would be nothing wrong with him. Honestly, inheriting the inheritance of his mother, after obtaining the blood Luo Jing, I am afraid that he will not be afraid of any enemies. Everything is fate. After sighing, Jian Wushuang followed Qianxing Buddha. He hasn't got the heart of the beast yet, but he is already thinking about the heart of Gyuti. The second soul. That is the second life. The cost of Taoist cultivation of the second soul is not too great, and the whole Gyuti heart is not needed, but after the emperor wants to cultivate the second soul body, I am afraid that you need the entire Gyuti heart. I just don't know what the other party will think of him when this request is made. Even if I eat and take, I don't have a face anymore. The second soul is actually called the ordinary time. Now it should be said that it is the second source. Jian Wushuang was originally the two roots, and then he cultivated the three roots. He had thought about the third source, he used the life source, and then swallowed the dead body and became the source of reincarnation. It's perfect. He has now begun to calculate how many treasures he can take away in his hand, and he will mention it to the Thousand Star Buddha at that time. Soon after sitting down, someone sent the heart of the beast god. Jian Wushuang didn't make a fuss about this. The future is so miserable that he has got the heart of the beast god, which is nothing. Taking the heart of the beast god, Jian Wushuang took out a supreme eternal treasure from the mustard seed. Master of the world, please accept this little gadget. It's so disturbing this time. Jian Wushuang was extremely polite, and almost squeezed it directly into the other's mustard seeds. The world has never seen this scene and tried to avoid it, but its eyes have been fixed on the Thousand Star Buddha. Thousand Star Buddha coughed dryly and said calmly, "Since it is the kindness of a good man, you will accept it in the world. Amitabha, thank you for your kindness. Universal took the scepter and liked it very much in my heart. This is the ultimate eternal treasure. There are very few sixth-order emperors. After the world went down, only the two of them were left, sitting and drinking tea. Jian Wushuang had raised up in his heart for a long time, but he didn't have the face to speak out. Unexpectedly, Thousand Star Buddha took the initiative to mention it. Unparalleled scholar, what do you think of this Gyuti tree? Thousand Star Buddha kicked his hands and looked up at Gyuti. Jian Wushuang didn't figure it out for a while, but he continued up and said, "This Gyuti tree is indeed extraordinary. Not only can it calm the mind, but the inner Gyuti heart can also allow the emperor to cultivate a second origin. The rumors are a bit exaggerated. If it is an ordinary emperor, he can still cultivate the second source, but at my level, there is no hope anymore, so this ancient number is useless to me. Continued, I was young and was not qualified to practice the second source, but when I am qualified, it is already in his twilight years. This time Jian Wushuang could see that when Qianxing Buddha wanted to cultivate the second source before, he didn't have the qualifications. When he was qualified, his realm was too high, and he could no longer cultivate the second source with the help of Gyuta's heart. Now this is to let him seize the opportunity. After Jian Wushuang felt the other's mind, he leaked a knowing smile. Directly open and say, this time the 1,000-star Buddha has a great favor to someone from the sword, just say what you need. The unparalleled scholar is serious. It is a trivial matter to remove the killing and robbery. As for the heart of the beast god, it is not owned by this mountain. Now it is regarded as the original owner, and the good scholar has already given a reward. How dare you ask for it again? Qian Xinfu quickly shied away. This time Jian Wushuang frowned. He didn't quite understand what the old monk was asking for. After Qian Xing saw Jian Wushuang's doubts, calm paused and said, this time, there is indeed a small matter that I want Wushuang good men to help. If this matter can be achieved, this Mahayana Lingshan, you can get it if you are good at it. This is extremely domineering. It seemed like he kept saying everything. This Mahayana spirit mountain is not the only one of Qianxing. Hey, this is too simple for me, let's talk about it. Jian Wushuang leaked a smile and waited for Qianxing Buddha. Qianxing Buddha took a sip of tea and said in a low voice, help me and Master Zhenling bring a message. Bring something? Jian Wushuang leaned back slightly, looking at Qianxing in surprise. It's not surprising that the other party knows the true spirit. These years, the true spirit can be said to be deeply rooted in people's hearts. Thus, just bring a sentence. Chapter 56-22. Although Jian Wushuang was surprised, it was not a big deal to him. He agreed directly. Then thank you Wushuang good fellow, please send this mustard seed to Master True Spirit. Qianxing bowed slightly, then took out a mustard seed and handed it to Jian Wushuang. When Jian Wushuang took it, a trace of thought power had deepened, but he was a little surprised to find that he couldn't even open it. But thinking about it, Mahayana Lingshan is a famous mountain in ancient times, and the treasures handed down are naturally unusual. It seems that Qianxing is preparing to take Mahayana Lingshan to find true spirit for some kind of transaction. Such a pity. The other party does not know the temperament of the true spirit. For true spirit, this entire temple of Qishan is his own. Where's the deal? 1,000-star Buddha, I heard that this ancient tree can nurture the second origin. I don't know if it is true or not. Jian Wushuang leaked a smile, and at the same time took the initiative to show down. He just wants this ancient tree heart. But not too much, he is just a Taoist now, 1/3 is enough. You can pay for it as long as the other party agrees. The other party had also hinted before, there is no reason not to agree. Qianxing wasn't a fool either, he understood right away, first took a sip of tea, then smiled and looked at Jian Wushuang. This is waiting for Jian Wushuang to pay the price. But Jian Wushuang directly took out treasures of more than 100,000 square cosmic crystals, which were of various kinds. In fact, he still has a lot of cosmic crystals, but those cosmic crystals, I'm afraid they will need to be used when he is in harmony, so he didn't take them out. The value of these treasures is also worth 100,000 square meters. The most important thing is his vitality. This is priceless. A ray of green light gathered from Jian Wushuang's fingertips, and the strong vitality burst out instantly, and the good issue instantly became more energetic. I only need 1/3 of the Gyuti heart, and when I get it, I will repair the backlash of the Gyuti tree lacking the Gyuti heart, and outsiders will never see it. Jian Wushuang promised, patting his chest. 1,000-star Buddha's eyes are hot, of course because of the treasures. Mahayana Lingshan, the reason why this time was not born was because of waiting for Jian Wushuang. This was not because someone had notified Qianxing in advance, but the catastrophe had already arrived. To help Jian Wushuang now is a big receipt to become a future Jian Wushuang. Now that you can get so many treasures, it can be said that it is multitasking. As for the ancient tree, Qianxing didn't care about it. Whether it is for the Mahayana Spirit Mountain or for whatever, they will go out. Repair the original source and be able to go further. This is the dream of every one of the best. Now that the opportunity is right in front of us, how can we not grasp it? No problem. Qianxing agreed directly. Jian Wushuang did not expect that the other party would be so atmospheric. According to his understanding, shouldn't the Gyudi tree be the #1 treasure of the Mahayana Spirit Mountain? Just take a word and give away the first treasure. Although the Gyudi tree's heart will recover, it will take an extremely long time. In that case, thank the 1,000-star Buddha Lord. Jian Wushuang directly stood up. When the matter is settled, there is nothing to talk about next. Great grace does not say thank you, there will be opportunities in the future. 1,000-star Buddha also got up, and with a stroke, he opened a hole in the ancient tree. A complete Gyudi heart appeared in front of the two of them. When Jian Wushuang saw Gu Tixin, the corners of his eyes were beating. The mental strength above is extremely strong. It is stronger than his Taoist consummation. No wonder it is the #1 treasure. Through the space, Qianxing Buddha directly took 1/3 of the Gyudi tree heart and handed it to Jian Wushuang. The ancient tree also dimmed a lot in the next moment. But Jian Wushuang has the power of life and can help Gudasha recover. This is a thank you. After taking out 1/3 of the Gyudi tree's heart, the gap disappeared. If it's a commonplace or immortal who doesn't understand space, I think it's pushing away the ancient tree. Actually, it is not. 1,000-star Buddha just cut a certain layer through the 9 layers of space, and then took out the heart from the intact ancient tree. This is the same as the emperor going to kill a commonplace. It is possible to take out the other's heart without harming the other's body. This is space. The mundane can only see the essence of space. They are able to grasp the core through the essence. After Jian Wushuang got Gyuda's heart, this trip to the west was completed successfully. Before leaving, he sent a group of life force into the Gyudi tree, and after bidding farewell to the 1,000-star Buddha, he completely left the Mahayana Lingshan mountain. This time, he did not choose to take the teleportation array. Instead, he let go of all his strength and chose to fly to the temple headquarters alone. His current speed is much faster than before. Under normal circumstances, it can be comparable to the top. Exercising the eternal changes, it is possible to reach the ultimate perfection. The black hole in space and the heart of Tao are perfect. Jian Wushuang, who once felt the ultimate, now looks back and feels that he has no limits at all, only constant transcendence. Right now, he has only one opportunity left. That is Hedao. Go in harmony with the most perfect posture. Boom! The breath on his body continued to soar, flying against a huge lake, blowing up countless waves. Now he not only has his Tao heart consummated, but his aura has also reached the most perfect state. Jian Wushuang, who had originally planned to join forces on the spot, still felt a little unstable. With his current strength, going to the tomb mountain is a breeze. Go to the temple first and take the super teleportation array to reach the secret realm of the tomb. It only takes about a day to reach the mountain of the tomb. For him, it really wasn't a test. Now the special beings in the secret realm of the tomb have basically been moved to the primitive universe and went to the outside world to fight. The strong who stayed in the 4 secret realms were few and far between. So after Jian Wushuang got out of Mahayana Lingshan, he didn't meet a superpower. Temple headquarters. In other words, the White Tiger Palace is more accurate. Among the 4 main halls, the White Tiger Hall, the most powerful one, and the White Tiger Hall that used to be under great pressure, is now a bit depressed. Because the pressure has reached the Qinglong Palace. The outside world is under the management of Qinglong Temple. Inside is the White Tiger Palace. Now that there is no threat inside, the White Tiger Palace has naturally depressed. However, Bai Yi, the master of the White Tiger Palace, was a little bit embarrassed. He had crushed the 4 secret realms for an entire era. Reading www.com. Now that I am free, I am a little uncomfortable. When Jian Wushuang arrived, he directly saw the deity of Bai Yi, who was in the main hall, which was also a little surprised. Once this busy man wanted to meet, it was extremely difficult. Even if you see it, it's just a clone. Now the deity is sitting in the hall and drinking, very leisurely. It is very similar to the original Long Yi. The 4 secret realms have become back gardens. Bai Yi was also stunned when he felt Jian Wushuang's extremely powerful aura. As the world is extremely peaceful today, he hasn't paid attention to the aura of a strong man in the heavens, and now he is shocked when he sees Jian Wushuang. End of this chapter. Chapter 56-23. After discovering that it was Jian Wushuang, his brows frowned slightly. Jian Wushuang, who was extremely restrained and absolutely exposed, was actually so powerful. Jian Wushuang, are you in harmony? Bai Yi was a little unsure. Because now he can't see through Jian Wushuang either. Standing outside the teleportation array, Jian Wushuang looked up to the outside world, piercing through. Seeing Bai Yi, who was above the main hall, he leaked a smile, and then he flashed into the White Tiger Hall. Jian Wushuang standing in the hall was neither humble nor overbearing, and said with a light smile, Jixia is not yet in harmony. I didn't expect the Lord to be here, knowing that I came here to visit in advance. This is only an era. You have come to my place, but you are the invincible Dao Jun. Bai Yi looked at Jian Wushuang, a little embarrassed. Yao thought that when he saw Jian Wushuang for the first time, although he was also a Taoist, Jian Wushuang at that time was the strongest but comparable to the second-order emperor. Today's breath is only weak to his deity. The strength of the 4 main hall masters, although they are strong and weak. But the weakest is also stronger than the gods. They are all capable of being comparable to the existence of Tribulation Realm. Now Jian Wushuang is in his peak state, but he has reached the ultimate perfection. It is indeed only a bit weaker than them. Hall Master Miao Zhan, Wushuang is just good luck. Jian Wushuang was as humble as ever. Bai Yi shook his head and said, Your accomplishment is by no means luck, but your powerful Dao Exin. With a 7-orifice exquisite heart, Bai Yi saw that Jian Wushuang's mood was like a majestic lake without any waves. It is definitely the Taoist consummation. You are here this time. Are you going to the tomb's sacred mountain? Bai Yi asked tentatively. Jian Wushuang smiled and nodded and replied, It is indeed to go to the tomb mountain. Speaking of which, I have never been to the tomb mountain. I have always heard how powerful the tomb mountain is. This is the first time he has visited. Although he has nothing to improve now, he still has some expectations. That is the expectation of becoming an emperor. On the one hand, he is looking forward to what he will become after becoming an emperor. On the other hand, it was because he looked forward to how he would be transformed as a monarch on the tomb's sacred mountain after he Dao. The Taoist monarchs with ordinary qualifications like tearing the sky can cultivate so fast after being in harmony. Then what will happen to him after he is in harmony? After hearing Jian Wushuang's answer, Bai Yi nodded and said affirmatively, It's time to go and see, that is the real holy land for cultivation. Come on, I will personally open the teleportation formation for you, and directly teleport you to the tomb of the gods. Bai Yi got up directly and took Jian Wushuang into the teleportation formation. Jian Wushuang didn't expect the other party to be so polite. He also quickly thanked him, and then entered the teleportation formation. This is also caused by his strong strength. Even Bai Yi, a puppet, looked at him with admiration. The future temple of Qixin may really be pinned on Jian Wushuang. Now that the outside world is in great chaos, the arrival of the Temple of Destruction is even more sensational than the Temple of Qi. In terms of treasures, it is no weaker than Qixin Temple. Now it's just an era, and it can be evenly matched with the inheritors in the Temple of Qixin. The Temple of Qixin in the future will definitely enter a low point for a period of time, because there are fewer and fewer inheritors in the Temple of Qixin. But there are more and more powerhouses in the Temple of Destroying the World. However, the true spirit is worried about the calculation of extinction, and the death is also worried about the calculation of the true spirit. Although there are few Yangtzeans left in the Qixin Temple, they can still maintain the selection of an era. It's just that the speed will slow down, and it won't be as fanciful as it once was. Generally speaking, there are still some fights. Sometimes they can still stand on the upper hand. Jian Wushuang also knew the rise of the Temple of Destruction from the memory of the future. Not only cultivate elite inheritors, but even some ordinary emperors are recruited, and they are not picky at all. Although the ordinary emperor's strength is not good, but the extinction has a unique treasure, a treasure that even the original Morwa time and space did not have. Holy water. Ordinary second-order emperors only need a drop of holy water to mutate the origin, but the price is that there is never room for improvement. The body will also change. This method is very similar to the sacrificing ceremony that Jian Wushuang knows. It was created by the gods, and it should be a way to amplify the body by Frosa according to a certain method in inherited memory. The Temple of Destruction of the World used the sacrifice ceremony to create a large number of powerful people. The sacrifice ceremony of the First-Order Emperor can make the First-Order Emperor become the Fourth-Order Emperor. The Second-Order Emperor can become the Fifth-Order Emperor. In the primitive universe, it is not necessary to use this method to become a powerhouse of the Third-Order Emperor. There are so many primitive universes in the long river of time and space, but the Third-Order Emperor is a strong one regardless of that primitive universe. It only takes some inheritance to be able to develop the potential of these Third-Order Emperors. Only by relying on this kind of elite emperor can he fight for a long time with the Qishan Temple. Therefore, the emperors in the sacrificial ritual are the weakest emperors. But this is also voluntary. In the face of power, they are extremely eager and do not need to induce threats at all. Unfortunately, Jian Wushuang couldn't get out. If it hadn't been for extinction to target him, he would also like to go out to meet those powerful opponents in the long river of time and space. Today's long river of time and space is different from the past. There are a lot of extreme peaks. Moreover, there are also many ultimate emperors in the Temple of Destruction. The moment the teleportation array was opened, Jian Wushuang instantly descended on the secret realm of the tomb. The vastness, the turbidity, and the silence made Jian Wushuang feel that this place was a continent left by the barbaric era. Perhaps it is really an ancient continent left by the barbaric time and space of Mo. Jian Wushuang took a step forward, and the familiar feeling passed into his body. Jian Wushuang had felt that breath in Morwo's time and space. It should be the power from the age of God. This shows that there are treasures from the heavens in the tomb of the gods. Jian Wushuang was not surprised by this. The Qishan can become a powerhouse in the 8 tribulations realm in half a step, and I am afraid that he will not miss the treasures in the heavens. Otherwise, it won't be crushed to death. Yu reading www.com. It was not until the fall that he chose to cooperate with extinction. The body shape kept teleporting. Jian Wushuang also had countless thoughts in his heart. Soon, hundreds of millions of miles away, he saw the majestic Tomb Mountain. On the thread-shaped mountain, there is a vast ocean or a sea. There is also a forest of towering giant trees. They are entangled with each other on the Tomb God Mountain, and one mountain has all the sights of a world. It really is magical. Jian Wushuang's aura began to converge, and that powerful aura fell into the black hole, and then returned to calm just like an ordinary emperor. When he reappeared, Jian Wushuang was already on top of a huge warship. Chapter 56-24. Above the bow, a large flag belonging to the Vermilion Bird Palace was also flying. Jian Wushuang. The woman with a touch of scarlet armor exclaimed when she saw the strong man suddenly appeared on the deck. Hearing "don't call his own name," Jian Wushuang also turned his head to look around, and when he found that he was an acquaintance, he smiled lightly. Zhu Qi. This big ship was sent to the inheritors after the Vermilion Palace contest. Only by riding this warship can we travel through time and space and enter the Tomb Mountain. Regardless of where the Tomb Mountain is, even Jian Wushuang, it is impossible to fly over. Only by riding the corresponding treasure can you enter the Tomb Mountain. Because the time and space of Tomb God Mountain and the time and space of God Tomb are not together. Just looking at it with the naked eye, the two are together. Jian Wushuang was also lucky, and happened to encounter a warship that sent the inheritors who had just been selected into the Tomb Mountain. Unexpectedly, Zhu Qi was an acquaintance who was in this battleship. At the beginning, the opponent sent him to Moyne Mountain. It seems that there is still some kind of relationship with Shan Jun. What a coincidence, Zhu Qi's messenger. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly. In a blink of an eye, he has surpassed the opponent too much. The messengers of the four great halls were all ordinary puppets made by the gods using the leftover materials left over when refining the four great hall masters. Although he also has a 7-orifice exquisite heart, his combat power is far worse. It's just a 5th-order emperor. Now Jian Wushuang could tear them apart with a single blow. Why are you here? Zhu Qi stood up, walked directly to Jian Wushuang and asked. As he approached, Jian Wushuang's eyes clearly saw the symmetrical gaps on the opponent's face, and he was surprised by Shanjun's eyes. But since the other party asked, he answered honestly. Hearing that Jian Wushuang was also going to the tomb Shinshan, Zhu Qi was not surprised, but asked about Shan Jun. As soon as the words were spoken, he regretted a little. She felt that Jian Wushuang's aura was very weak, and she was at the level of an ordinary emperor, and asking it was equivalent to not asking. After all, she had been in the Vermilion Bird Palace in Primitive Realm, and she didn't know much about Jian Wushuang, but she had heard that Jian Wushuang was the invincible Dao Jun. On the deck, thousands of inheritors discovered that a strange man suddenly appeared on the deck, and they seemed to know the messenger from the Vermilion Bird Palace, and they were very curious. Some of these little guys are Taoists, and some are Dayan immortals. I was very curious about everything in front of me, so I looked over. When they heard Jian Wushuang's name, they were all taken aback. Then someone exclaimed, "Invincible Dao Jun, Jian Wushuang?" Although they were in the great world of Xuanwu Temple before the trial, some of their ancestors had entered the Qishan Temple early and their status was not low. If you couldn't enter the Xuanwu Hall before. However, after the Temple of Destruction of the World appeared, Xuanwu Hall changed its normal state, not only took out a lot of puppets to help the Qinglong Temple conquer, but also included many puppets together with Tianjiao. Among these people, there was a glimpse of Jian Wushuang's graceful emperor. They told their younger generations to enter the Tomb Mountain in the future, and do not seek to surpass Jian Wushuang, as long as they can reach the realm of Jian Wushuang after being in harmony. Jian Wushuang has the best combat power. If these little guys can become the best in the future, that would be pretty good. The difficulty of the Tribulation Realm is too great. This is an epic, and the countless resources of the Qishan Temple have been smashed down, and no Tribulation Realm has been able to appear. One can imagine how difficult it is. So to this day, the pinnacle is still the pinnacle. The outside world is the same. Zhu Dian is a super strong, basically it is difficult to fall. Moreover, there are very few absolute powerhouses in the Temple of Destruction. The two sides have been fighting for so long so far, and it is only an expedition in the universe. Every conquest of the universe starts from the bottom. Afterwards, the fight continued to rise to the Super Emperor and Powerhouse. The general cosmic conquest, the participation of the 6th Order Emperor, is a great battle, and even the inside of the Qishan Temple will discuss it. Not to mention the absolute top. So Zhu Dian will become the pinnacle of this long river of time and space for a long time. Unless there is a large number of Robbery Realm powerhouses. But at the moment, it seems unlikely. When the Temple of Misunderstanding comes, Mission has never appeared before. It should be the same as the True Spirit. If you want to maintain the Temple of Misunderstanding, you must become thousands of people. Let's talk about Jian Wushuang at this time. Hearing Zhu Qi's question, his face trembled, and his face turned red for a while. His current strength is indeed able to fish out the Mountain Monarch who was originally suppressed in the second prison, but the Mountain Monarch is now gone. Taken away by extinction. I'm sorry about Shan Jun. Jian Wushuang clasped his fists in both hands, apologizing. If it was earlier, perhaps he would succeed. But even if it succeeds, he has no choice but to take away from the extinction. You can only think of a solution after he is in harmony. Now he owes a lot of cause and effect, although after the cause and effect are eliminated, these cause and effect can't help him, but after all, he has to pay it back. Zhu Qi's eyes changed, resisting the sadness in his heart, shook his head, pretending to be calm and said, "It's okay, It's not your fault, you shouldn't be in harmony now. Feeling Jian Wushuang's embarrassment, Zhu Qi quickly changed the subject. She knew that Shanjun valued Jian Wushuang, so she also had a good impression of Jian Wushuang. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang felt even more uncomfortable. He was too wasteful to hear it. But it is true. No one can be protected. This time I went to the Tomb Mountain, I was preparing to join the Tao. Jian Wushuang said indifferently. Zhu Qi nodded and encouraged. With your strength, it is not difficult to be in harmony, not to mention your current Taoism is very strong, and you will surely succeed. Don't disappoint those who can't come back. People who can't come back. There were also tears in Jian Wushuang's eyes. He can't let down those who can't come back. Those who have helped him hope that he will become extremely powerful, and he can't live up to it. I will. Jian Wushuang nodded solemnly. There is also light in Zhu Qi's eyes. Her strength is too weak. It is impossible to save the mountain monarch. You reading www. Akanshu. Calm can only pin his hopes on Jian Wushuang. After saying this, he left the deck without saying anything. He also told Jian Wushuang that it would take an hour to reach the Tomb Mountain in the shuttle times. For only an hour, Jian Wushuang was naturally not in a hurry, and stood on the deck of the bow staring at the muddy void, but the law bodies in the source had been cultivating all the time. Although he has reached consummation in all aspects now, it doesn't mean he doesn't need to cultivate. Regarding Hideo's specialization, he dare not stop for a moment. The failure of the future makes him unable to tolerate any sand. Can't fail. While he was practicing silently, several inheritors who hadn't been to the tomb gathered around. It's just that they all felt that the aura on Jian Wushuang's body was not simple. Even if Jian Wushuang had converged a little, he still had some of the aura of an emperor. Chapter 56-25. Dao Jun who can rival the emperor is indeed an incomparable powerhouse in their eyes. Today's testers, because they were trained earlier in the Xuanwu Hall, have good strengths. Among them, there are several ultimate Taoist monarchs, which are already comparable to the second-order emperors. Naturally, he was very interested in the name of Jian Wushuang Wudi Dao Jun. Although knowing that it is highly probable that he is not an opponent, I still want to see how powerful the invincible Dao Jun is, so that their ancestors can say that they can reach Jian Wushuang Daojun's combat power after being in harmony. You are Jian Wushuang. A crisp woman's voice came. Jian Wushuang slowly turned his head, his long hair covered his profile face, and after discovering that it was a few little guys, Jian Wushuang said indifferently, "What's wrong?" The woman who spoke took a step forward, with determination in her eyes, and said, "Junior Ji family dynasty, Ji Wushuang, want to ask seniors for advice or two." Ji family dynasty? Jian Wushuang raised his brows and asked, "What is your relationship with Ji Chaoyang?" Ji Wushuang looked happy and quickly replied, "It's the younger emperor's uncle. Your Ji family, it is a blessing to be able to produce two ultimate Taoists." Jian Wushuang praised. Ji Chaoyang is probably a sixth-order emperor now, and it is not difficult for him. Now there is a little niece, who is already the ultimate Dao Jun, whose strength is comparable to that of an ordinary second-order emperor, and her future achievements may not be worse than her emperor's uncle. Moreover, the name was somewhat similar to him, and the other party was also very young, less than an epoch. It seemed that he had chosen this name deliberately. Ji Wushuang. It's really a good name. When he heard Jian Wushuang's praise, Ji Wushuang's face also had a proud look. When the Qishan temple did not appear, the Ji family dynasty had a fourth-order emperor sitting in town, and there was also an old ancestor of the fifth-order emperor, who had been wandering through the long river of time and space. Today's Ji family has not only the ultimate sixth-order emperors such as Ji Chaoyang, but also two sixth-order ordinary emperors, and dozens of fifth-order emperors. If it was in the past and could dominate the universe, it's just that now the various family forces are in the explosive period, which is not so obvious. But it is also the top 10 superpower in the original universe. Ji Wushuang, the proud daughter of heaven, naturally feels extremely proud of her family. I and your emperor uncle, it can be regarded as a bad relationship. Since you junior has spoken, I will do a few tricks with you. Jian Wushuang turned around with a smile on his face. Cultivation is not short of this time, these little guys are staring at him with feverish eyes. How can he know that? Then use some strength to frustrate their spirit. After Ji Wushuang heard it, he was extremely excited and immediately burst out all his breath, causing ripples. Master Wushuang must be careful, my trick is not small. Ji Wushuang is also very good at connecting, directly confirming the relationship between the two people's uncles and nephews. Jian Wushuang didn't care about it. He was counted according to seniority, and he really wanted to call him Uncle Master. If he can go to JS house with his current strength, I'm afraid that old ancestor can't call him a brother too much. Come on. Jian Wushuang's aura remained unchanged, only raising a finger. In an instant, the breath on the fingers rose suddenly. All the onlookers backed away, feeling the power of the aura. However, there was a black-clothed man standing at the top of the battlefield with his hands around his chest, staring at everything below, and seeing the breath erupting from Jian Wushuang's fingers, his eyes shrank, and his heart was surprised. That power can actually rival me. The black robe covering his face was a little surprised. His name is Jing. He is the strongest Taoist among the trialists this time. The surface can be comparable to the second-order peak emperor, but the real strength is comparable to the third-order peak emperor. It's just that among these testers, no one can let him use his full strength. He is very confident in his own strength. He is the first person in the Xuanwu Temple. Now that he has become a Taoist, he goes to the Tomb Mountain and feels that he is the first. No one will surpass him. Comparable to the third-order peak emperor, his current ultimate way is only the 8th level. There is still a lot of room for improvement. It is not a problem for the future to be comparable to Tier 4 or even Tier 5 emperors. I have always heard how powerful the ultimate Taoist in the Tomb God Mountain is, and the war spirit in my heart has long since risen to the peak. This time I didn't expect to encounter Jian Wushuang, who is known as the invincible Dao Jun. He was ready to shoot, but he didn't expect to be robbed in front by those family disciples of Ji Wushuang. He was born in a casual cultivator, and he has always looked down upon the children of his family. Feel that they are wasting resources. Having had countless resources since childhood, the result was not as good as a casual cultivator. It was indeed a waste of resources. However, this is a matter of birth, and I cannot blame others. On the deck, after Ji Wushuang felt Jian Wushuang's powerful aura, he took the lead without fear at all. Frost. A chill came, and countless ice blades instantly surrounded Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang looked around and raised some interest. Interesting. Countless ice blades continue to attack, and every ice blade can kill the emperor. This mastery is not bad. I am afraid it is the pinnacle of mastery. Ji Wushuang's ultimate way is the ice way. When it was displayed, the whole person was cold, his complexion was calm, but there was a cold expression in his eyes. The field of ice found that Jian Wushuang was able to avoid the ice blade perfectly, faster than her ice blade. Ji Wushuang directly used the strongest method, the domain of ice. Under this realm, a layer of frost was formed in the nearby space. Jian Wushuang's speed actually slowed down. In the field of ice roads, it is most capable of suppressing speed. Ji Wushuang was overjoyed in his heart, and once again used the ice blade to siege Jian Wushuang. Those who watched the inheritors also showed joy in their faces. To win, Jian Wushuang's speed has slowed down. No one can block the ice blade. Even if it blocks, it will be seriously injured. The name of this invincible Dao Jun is about to be taken off. Several family children who admire Ji Wushuang have cheered for Ji Wushuang. However, there are also a few ultimate Taoists who found that things are not that simple. Yu reading www.ukanshu. Calm because Jian Wushuang started to dodge and didn't face the hard ice blade head-on. I'm afraid it wasn't because he didn't dare. Facing Bingyan, Jian Wushuang did not hide again this time. This realm can indeed suppress his speed, but as long as he leaks a little breath, he can break the realm in an instant. Just treat the juniors, there is no need to be so serious. When the ice blade struck, he did not dodge, but pointed it out, and directly confronted the ice blade. Just when many people thought Jian Wushuang was going to be unlucky, they found that Bing Blade actually began to fuse when it touched Jian Wushuang's fingers. That's the ice blade of the ultimate way, so Jian Wushuang actually cracked it. Ji Wushuang was also shocked and quickly mobilized more ice blades to attack. But Jian Wushuang remained motionless. His was amazing, and he cracked all the ice blades in just an instant. Chapter 56-26. Finally, it is a point that breaks the space and points out a pole in the space of the domain of ice. With this as the core, it instantly swept all the surrounding space, constantly swallowing all the power of the ice domain into a small black hole that was turned into a pole. Zhu Qi in the cabin also opened her eyes at this time. Originally, she didn't care, it was just a fight between the juniors. Unexpectedly, Jian Wushuang had already used the power of the black hole to this point. This is a complete black hole in space, and it appears to have been a breakthrough for a long time. To master the space black hole, the inheritor, the emperor, also needs to reach the sixth-order emperor to do it. It seemed that the name of invincible Dao Jun was really not a lie, and it was more powerful than they thought. On the deck, these inheritors didn't know what kind of method Jian Wushuang used, but when Jian Wushuang broke Ji Wushuang's skills so easily, they couldn't help looking at Jian Wushuang in shock. Is it just broken? That is the ultimate realm, the realm that can suppress the second-order emperor strong, someone exclaimed. Ji Ying, standing on the top of the ship, was also extremely shocked. Even if he wanted to break this field, he would have to spend some means, but Jian Wushuang would not expect Jian Wushuang to do it so easily. This made his fighting spirit even more boiling. Suspended in midair, Ji Wushuang put away his breath. After falling on the deck, he didn't feel a trace of loss. On the contrary, there was joy on his face. He walked to Jian Wushuang and said kindly, "Uncle Wushuang, the junior has lost. I didn't expect Master Uncle's strength to be so powerful that he would break my ice field with just one finger. Wushuang, you must remember that the support of the domain is not your ultimate way, but your understanding of space. The stronger your spatial realm, the stronger your domain." Jian Wushuang liked the other party very much. Her character reminded her of some wrong paths in her practice. But even if he didn't remind him, there would be someone to teach when he went to the Tomb Mountain. Ji Wushuang nodded in agreement very cleverly. Afterwards, the familiar Jian Wushuang chatted about trials in the primitive world, and introduced Jian Wushuang to her friends one by one. Many of the ancestors of them are related to Jian Wushuang, such as the descendants of Wan Yan and the new disciples of Zenoyang. The disciple of Zhenwiang was also from Desiyu, but he was not more than an era old, so Jian Wushuang naturally didn't know him. But they can be regarded as fellow villagers, all from Desiyu. Although he was a Taoist who walked through the 10,000 ways, his strength was not weak for those ultimate Taoists. When he introduced him to the other side, Jian Wushuang also nodded at the little guy. This made the little guy very excited. The two prides of Desiyu. One is Zhenweng. Needless to say, the other is Jian Wushuang. Although Jian Wushuang has not been out, there are many rumors about him from the outside world. An era ago, he was the invincible Dao Jun. Today's strength is even more unfathomable. Not only can I see such a legendary character now, but it is also a great honor for the other person to remember himself. Jian Wushuang didn't have much air, unlike some old guys who liked to rank seniors, but talked with these juniors casually. He is also a Taoist monarch. For him, it doesn't matter if their ancestors have some friendship with him. After Dao Xen was consummated, Jian Wushuang's heart had no distracting thoughts, and only constant strength was the way to pursue. Regarding the name, I don't care. A figure fell from the sky and directly rushed to disperse the crowd. Several powerful Dao monarchs who were close to Jian Wushuang were also pulled away by that person. Actually let those Dao monarchs have no power to fight back. The opponent's strength is obviously beyond everyone. Invincible Dao Jun? The visitor was Jiang, and he said calmly, "It's better to return this title to a suitable person." Jian Wushuang leaked a smile and said calmly, "I want it, just take it." No, there must be a testimony." Jiang looked around and said, "For example, defeat you in front of them. You don't have to worry so much, It'll be in harmony soon. Jian Wushuang said calmly, standing in place. The name will be returned to a more suitable person by then. Jiaying's tone went cold and he sternly said, then if I want to do it at this time, come and get it. Jian Wushuang saw through the other side's details at a glance, and his strength was good, comparable to the Third-Order Emperor. In the first batch of their inheritors, the only one who could reach this state was the powerhouse of the ultimate light path. It seems that the other party is really not easy. It was too late. The next moment, Jing had already started. 10,000 mi. An angry shout came. The inheritors around him retreated in an instant. Ji Wushuang's complexion changed drastically, and he quickly reminded him, be careful, uncle, this person is the ultimate shadow path, and can be transformed into thousands. The strength of each shadow clone is not weaker than the deity. The shadow path is special, let alone the ultimate shadow path. This move Wanwu is somewhat similar to Wanyan's Wanyingliu. Each shadow avatar possesses the combat power of the Third-Order Peak Emperor, and has been able to match the Fourth-Order Emperor. As soon as you come up, you will do your best. It was the extreme shadow that broke out completely. Everyone was surprised again and again, but he didn't expect that the first person among the trialists had reservations. Jian Wushuang didn't change his face. Million mi? In other words, it is a low-profile version of Wanying. This trick does not pose any threat to him. Through space, he can find the other person's true body. But there is no need to directly act on his real body. This is a bit too bullying. Since he is a powerful shadow Dao, his physical body can be divided into thousands, or even hundreds of millions. Ha! Ha! Jian Wushuang just spit out in one breath, and countless clones instantly surrounded the tens of thousands of shadow groups. How is this possible? Jing was surprised. Standing below Ji Wushuang was also surprised. He heard from Emperor Ji Chaoyang that the origin of Jian Wushuang is the ultimate kendo. It can be seen from the infinitely powerful divine sword behind Jian Wushuang. How can he also cultivate Shadow Dao? Then everyone discovered something was wrong. The extreme shadow of 10,000 mi is the true shadow clone. But Jian Wushuang is different. Each of his clones has a physical body and origin, and also has the life force of the deity that is not weak. For them, these countless Jian Wushuang are no different from the deity. Jian Wushuang's deity stood in place, looked up at the extreme shadow of the sky, and said directly to his real body, "Do you still want to do it?" This sentence directly frightened Jie. "Do you know the position of my deity?" Ji Ying stared at Jian Wushuang in surprise, his pupils directly maximized. Regarding Jian Wushuang's clone, he was even more surprised that Jian Wushuang could see through his real body. Chapter 56-27. His space realm has reached the realm of condensing stars, hidden in the space, mixed with the shadow clone, unless it is a sixth-order emperor, otherwise he can't find his true body at all. Could it be that he is a sixth-order emperor? Jiaying couldn't believe it. Even if he enters the Tomb Mountain and allows him to practice for hundreds of millions of years, he still has no confidence that he has the power of a sixth-order emperor when he is a Taoist monarch. Dao Jun could have the power of a sixth-order emperor. He couldn't believe it. No wonder it is the invincible Dao Jun. At this moment, Jing was convinced. Although he hasn't done anything yet, he already knows that he can't defeat Jian Wushuang. It's too bad. However, he did not give up either. A rare opportunity, how can you catch it at your fingertips? Wei Niang condensed the real body and instantly turned into a majestic polar shadow deity. At that moment, Jiang's combat power completely reached the fourth-order emperor. This is his limit. He has never been forced to this point. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang also took away the clone. In the next moment he actually pulled out the Jueyun sword. This scene left everyone in a daze. No need to do this. Draw the sword directly. That was the Jueyun sword, and the power contained in it was not weak in the tribulation realm, but just as soon as it was pulled out, it made these little guys hold their breath one after another, and they didn't dare to breathe. Zhu Qi in the cabin also stood up, but she was not surprised that Jian Wushuang would pull out the Jueyun sword, but a super special life appeared in the outside world. According to common sense, There is no special life around the tomb mountain. There are also special beings who are bound by gods and demons, and they completely take refuge in the tomb mountain. But the one who appeared now was not bound by the magic circle at all. Before the warship entered time and space shuttle, it appeared behind the warship. The powerful divine body unique to a special life has a full sense of oppression. Jian Wushuang drew his sword precisely because of that special life. Although his power of mind did not deliberately watch the tide around, it can also cover a large world around him. When the opponent first appeared, he felt something was wrong. After he felt a force of death in the opponent's body, he became vigilant. However, the strength of that special life is so. If extinction is aimed at him, it is not enough. It's just the pinnacle. The special life of this kind of strength could not threaten him at all. Under normal circumstances, he only needs a sword to instantly kill the opponent. Kindness. The special life with open arms found that there was more than one emperor and queen on this warship carrying thousands of inheritors, and he was taken aback. No, he is a Taoist. Then this special life thought of something, and he was suddenly terrified. With the aura of an emperor, but not an emperor, there is only one person. It is the legendary invincible Taoist, Jian Wushuang. Really want to meet this invincible Dao Jun. This time he is afraid that he will fail. He was ordered to come and kill the inheritor, and the first time he did it, he met Dao Jian Wushuang, and he was also unlucky. In the intelligence, Jian Wushuang has the ultimate strength. He is not an opponent at all, but he still has the certainty of escape. Because of his divine body, more than 60,000 times. Even the pinnacle can't kill him. The Zhu Qi on the battleship is directly transmitting the sound of the tomb's sacred mountain. Suddenly a special life of the highest level appeared, and it was behind the battleship, which was absolutely strange. She didn't dare to make jokes about the inheritors of the whole ship. Now that there are fewer and fewer inheritors, no more mistakes can be made. This request for help was sent directly to the tomb mountain, and the clone of the true spirit was naturally known. However, when Jian Wushuang was on the battleship, he stopped Hui Qing, who was going to rescue the battleship. At the foot of the tomb god mountain, Hui Qing was a little surprised when he was stopped, but after hearing Jian Wushuang he understood. But in his clear eyes, it was no longer clear. On the deck of the battleship, after Zhu Qi sent a request for help, he rushed towards Jian Wushuang quickly, trying to remind them. On the deck, apart from Jian Wushuang, no one spotted that special being, thinking that Jian Wushuang was going to show his hand in front of them, and deliberately pulled out the Jueyun sword. Before Zhu Qi arrived, he reminded loudly, "There is an enemy attack, everyone enters the cabin to escape." When everyone heard Zhu Qi's voice, they turned their heads to look at Zhu Qi. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's Jueyun sword smashed into the sky with one sword. Jieying, standing in the air, only felt that his origin had been shattered, and his flesh and gods were trembling even more. Which sword penetrated his body like this, without any hindrance? Even the preventable eternal treasure battle armor could not resist. Just when he thought he had fallen, Jieying found that he didn't seem to be dead. But that terrifying sword indeed passed through his body. When he was surprised, everyone after hearing Zhu Qi's reminder jumped into the air and looked at the void behind the battleship. This is the first time they have seen a strong person in a special life at such a close distance. Just the majestic body makes them tremble constantly. The sword that Jian Wushuang cleaved was so small. At this moment, Zhu Qi was going crazy. These little guys did not listen to advice, and looked directly at the special being at the highest level, just like a okay person. After Jian Wushuang developed the sword, he put away the Jueyun sword, walked behind Zhu Qi and patted the opponent's shoulder, and said, "Don't be afraid, he will fall right away." This place is still some distance away from the tomb god. Even if the superpower on the tomb god mountain arrives, it will take time. During this time, the warship can't stop the opponent at all. Zhu Qi shook his head in despair. She knew that that special life would fall, and that there was that kind of powerful existence on the tomb god mountain that could kill the opponent. But this takes time. The little guys in the sky were all frightened, but there were also sharp-eyed ones, and at a glance they saw which sword Jian Wushuang had previously opened. Jieying reacted at this moment, and turned his head to look back. Only then did they understand that you reading www.Ukanshu. Jian Wushuang drew his sword not against Jiaying, but against that terrifying special being. That tiny sword shadow was very slow, they watched carefully. But for that special being at the highest level, this sword was too fast, he couldn't hide. Although this sword is not the first sword in the Starry Sky catalog, it is a sword that contains the true meaning of time. Others looked slow, but for the special being of the highest level, it was fast and terrifying, and couldn't resist it at all. Uncle Master with 2 hands, your sword shadow is too slow. Ji Wushuang stared at the tiny sword shadow, and said tremblingly, this is the superpower among the emperors, it's terrible. Jian Wushuang raised his head and said to the little guys, let Jianing fly for a while. Zhu Qi also found that something was wrong, and now it took a breath. The special being of the highest level did not attack them. End of this chapter. Chapter 56-28. Is it really a coincidence? She soared into the air, looking at the special life of the highest level, but found that the other party was moving slowly, trying to avoid that sword intent. But his speed is too slow. Much slower than Jenny. In that special live's perspective, it was only a moment. The sword intent had already arrived in front of him. As he approached, Jianying turned into a world of swords. Instantly wrapped the entire majestic special life, and the sword intent filled the world. Then it broke out completely. It penetrated the body of a special life like cutting melons and vegetables, breaking the other party's divine body more than 60,000 times in an instant. The divine body is broken, and the special life falls. With just one sword, behead the top powerhouse. This scene made Zhu Qi stunned in the sky. Jian Wushuang was actually so strong. And it's not yet in harmony. A Taoist monarch beheaded the top. Among those inheritors, some of the children of large families have seen the most powerful. The breath of this special life is stronger than the best ancestors of my family. A family child showed fear. But in the next moment, that terrifying and extraordinary special being had already fallen, his body turned into countless powder. The power of the divine body was quietly collected by Jian Wushuang. He has now collected a lot of treasures of the divine body. Said it was a treasure, but it was actually taken from the body of a strong god. For example, the tortoise shell of the master of the Turtle Spirit Island. There is also the body of the 8-clawed beast emperor. And now that special life divine body at the highest level. He was included in the body. After he became the emperor, he could have a full meal. In the shock of everyone, Jian Wushuang walked into the warehouse. The threat has been lifted. But those little guys are extremely excited. Dao Jun, can you be so strong? One sword kill the top. Ji Wushuang's eyes are also glowing and hot. From this moment, the stalwart figure in front of her was no longer the emperor, but Jian Wushuang. I am afraid that now everyone has that figure left in their hearts. Jian Wushuang's appearance when he drew his sword. Just when they wanted to go back to the deck and get in touch with Jian Wushuang up close, they found that Jian Wushuang had disappeared. Zhu Qi also understood what Jian Wushuang meant, so he prohibited them from entering the cabin to disturb Jian Wushuang. Many people are a little bit lost. They are now extremely envious of Jian Wushuang which sword, and they have endless doubts. For example, everyone is puzzled. Dao Jun beheads the top. The more powerful they are, the less they dare to ask in front of Jian Wushuang. This is about the origin, and it is provocation to explore the same existence. But these little guys are too weak, and they can be regarded as childish if they ask. Jing, I blame you, I have to provoke Senior Jian Wushuang. Someone blamed. Now Jiaying is more eager to talk with Jian Wushuang than them. When he saw which sword, he knew that there was no hope in this life. It was not that he would never be able to surpass Jian Wushuang in his entire life, but that he would never be able to achieve Jian Wushuang when he was in Daojun. The ultimate Taoist, even if he cultivates to the extreme, is at best comparable to the 5th order peak emperor. It is impossible to match the 6th order emperor. Not to mention that it is comparable to or even beheaded. Hearing other people's ridicule, Jing didn't get angry, but stood on the bow of the ship, his eyes focused on the distance. but in the bottom of his heart he carefully pondered which sword he had just made. Although the cultivators are not from the same origin, the power contained in the sword shadow just now is too much, and he only needs to draw a trace to benefit infinitely. Originally, these little guys were more excited when they were about to reach the tomb's sacred mountain, but now they saw Jian Wushuang's move to kill Zhu Ding and became even more excited. They chatted on the deck. With a smile hidden in Zhu Qi's eyes, he left quietly. Looking at Jian Wushuang in Chuansong through the white screen windows, Zhu Qi felt a sense of purpose. That was the trust in Jian Wushuang and the feelings for Shan Jun. She believes that Jian Wushuang will one day free Shan Jun from the second prison. Now even the four main hall masters don't know the relationship between extinction and the Qixin temple. Zhu Qi didn't even know. So Shan Jun was exterminated and looted. No one knew except True Spirit and Jian Wushuang. Maybe the inmates in the second prison know it, but they can't get out. On the contrary, the Xuanwu Hall Master and Yun Zhongjuan discovered that something was wrong. The blood demon and 10,000 demons suddenly disappeared. It's just that they think it was done by the real spirit. For this reason, Lord Yunzhong asked for the true spirit for a long time, but finally couldn't listen to the true spirit, and took some advantage to send the Lord Yunzhong away. But Palace Master Xuanwu is not easy to fool around. 10,000 demons are very important to Xuanwu Temple. Because 10,000 demons have a deep understanding of all things, and together with the puppets, they are the proud masters, only slightly weaker than the Xuanwu Hall Master. Such an important person suddenly disappeared, and the Xuanwu Palace Master must first suspect that it was the real spirit. But after thinking about it, something was wrong. Did not go to find the true spirit. On the contrary, the true spirit personally explained this time, and said the matter of extinction. The scene at that time was very strange. The master of the Xuanwu Hall was frightened. Because the prophecy came true. In other words, the long river of time and space of destruction is the one in front of us. A hero appears, and everyone will be buried. Including Qixin Temple. Therefore, the master of Xuanwu Hall will be so generous in the follow-up, taking out countless puppets to help the Qinglong Temple conquer the Temple of World Destruction. There are only two ways to break the Temple of Qixin. One is to become a powerhouse in the Seven Tribulations realm. This is definitely impossible. If it could be done, he would have done it early. With the current extinction, there is a high probability that it will be the strong one. Although it has half a step of the battle power of the Seven Tribulations realm, it can't be improved. After all, it's been so long. Based on what Jian Wushuang saw in Morwo's time and space, it was speculated that the original death was the powerhouse of Sanjia. However, the extinction in the heavens, although the strong man of scattered robbery, is at least the strong man of scattered robbery in the Eight Tribulations realm. After all, after being separated from God, everyone can have a half-step Seven Tribulation realm combat power. The other party's background is unfathomable. If you don't reach the Seven Tribulations realm, you can't break the Temple of Qixin, then there is only one way left. It is to train countless inheritors and fight against the Qixin Temple. The countless inheritors of the temple to destroy the world are trapped to death in the Temple of Qi. It's just that it hasn't worked yet. Miexing turned into the Temple of Mishi this time. You reading www.Akanshu. Obviously, Com has also made sufficient preparations. There are so many treasures in the heavens, I am afraid that there are more than the Temple of Qixin. As long as you are trapped in the Divine Temple, or waiting for the birth of the ancient monarch and the demon, the extinction can stabilize the Divine Temple. That's why he became the Temple of Destruction. This is also the same as Jian Wushuang's memory in the future world. The extinction that appeared again was just a pinnacle, the same as his strength. To devour him. So Jian Wushuang didn't dare to go out now. Even if he was in harmony, he couldn't go out. No one knows what means extinction has arranged in the outside world is waiting for him. Jian Wushuang couldn't gamble. End of this chapter. Chapter 56-29. The future is a terrible failure, so he can't bet. If you lose, the whole time and space is gone. Instead, he was swallowed by extinction, and he became a super strong master of reincarnation. He didn't want to swallow the other party and control reincarnation by himself. It's just that all of this is too difficult. Beside Miexing, there is the deity of the god of God. For him now, the temple of Qixin is not very stable. Dare to go out there? At least after he wants to be in harmony, wait until he finds out how many kilograms he is, and then make plans. Before, he didn't plan to go out. After he joined the Tao, he went directly to the far shield. This was also the consciousness of the true spirit. But now that he has a way to breed a second soul, he can try it boldly. Breed the second soul, and then swallow that trace of death power. First feel the power of reincarnation. Just as his thoughts were overwhelming, the warship had already docked in the ocean in the Tomb Mountain. To greet them is the Tomb Keeper on the Tomb Mountain. As for the other inheritors, walking and cultivating, then there is time to take care of these little guys. On the Tomb God Mountain, they have a common master, that is the true spirit. After the grave guard took the crowd, these little guys were still thinking about waiting for Jian Wushuang to come out, but they were directly engulfed by the grave guard and left the port. After everyone left, a familiar figure Jian Wushuang appeared faintly. It was Hui Qing who had awakened. Jian Wushuang also walked out of the cabin at this time. The two looked at each other. One is in the boat and one is on the shore. When Jian Wushuang felt Hui Qing's breath, he felt a big shock. It's okay if Hui Qing doesn't come and wait for him, or even meet and fight him. The embarrassing thing is now. He didn't say a word, just waited for him like that. Jiang Shang's matter would have dealt a great blow to Hui Qing. While Jian Wushuang was phrasing and thinking about how to throw the pot onto the true spirit, Hui Qing laughed. Seeing Jian Wushuang walking ashore, Hui Qing came with a smile and said first, "Brother Wushuang, you can count it. Since I woke up, I want to find you, but Master Jinling asked me to wait here. Waiting is an era." Just when Jian Wushuang was surprised, Hui Qing went on to say, "I heard Master Jinling say about Jiang Shang." "Hui Qing, you heard about me about this?" Jian Wushuang saw Hui Qing's face sank. He forgot all the words he had just thought of, and he didn't know how to push it to the true spirit for a while. Hui Qing sighed and said, "I already know it." Upon hearing this, Jian Wushuang's heart was half cold. It was indeed his incomplete consideration. After Hui Qing woke up, Jinling threw the pot to him. Jian Wushuang cursed the true spirit secretly in his heart. But the next word stunned him. "Thanks to Brother Wushuang in the human world. Otherwise I'm afraid I won't take that extinct life away." There was war intent in Hui Qing's eyes. Obviously, the matter of extinction is already known. Jian Wushuang said in amazement, "Do you know about extinction?" Hui Qing nodded and said, "This person controlled my little apprentice Jiang Shang. Otherwise Master Jinling would not attack her." Speaking of Hui Qing, she also has a look of guilt. Jiang Shang's affairs have something to do with him. As a master, he didn't take good care of his apprentice. Now the apprentice also ran away, and another big demon came out, threatening the life of the entire river of time and space. If it hadn't been for the true spirit to not let him out, he would have gone to the time and space long river to resist the temple of destruction. Jian Wushuang listened to Hui Qing's words, and the more he listened, the more things were wrong, and he waved to interrupt Hui Qing. "Wait a minute, let me be alone again and again." He doesn't know how Jiang Shang is related to Miexing, and I am afraid that the true spirit is coaxing Hui Qing 80%. Now Hui Qing doesn't know that it was he who sacrificed Jiang Shang's brother in blood. This time, he misunderstood the true spirit. He also described him as a hero. He saved Hui Qing in the human world, which is actually a fact. What happened to Jiang Shang was concealed. It just said that he went to the human world to rescue Hui Qing, but didn't say that Jiang Shang would be killed. And Jiang Shang's passive departure was also said by Zhen Ling as an initiative to leave with Miexing. After Jian Wushuang became clear, he patted Hui Qing's shoulder and comforted, "The sound of people is very long, especially for strong people like you and me. It's normal to meet a few scumbags. I think you should not go out and find yourself uncomfortable. After I get together, I will go out to help you teach Jiang Shang and let her understand what it means to respect the teacher and respect the Tao." He said righteous words. With tears in Hui Qing's eyes, she was very moved. But he still couldn't bear to attack the disciple, even if the disciple was betrayed and run away. Because it was the temple of Qixin that first shot Jiang Shang. Hui Qing thought that Jiang Shang was sentenced to the temple of Qixin, but he didn't want to embarrass him. Forget it, she has her own thoughts. Hui Qing shook her head, but the next moment there was a firm look in her eyes and continued, however, that guy called Mieshing, I will definitely defeat him. Jian Wushuang wiped the sweat from his forehead and encouraged, it will definitely succeed. After talking for so long, Hui Qing discovered that the two were in the port, and quickly took Jian Wushuang to his cave. By the way, he took Jian Wushuang around in the ordinary area of Tomb's Sacred Mountain. The Tomb Mountain is divided into 88 layers. Hui Qing is now on the 60th floor. There is only Hui Qing's Dongfu now. After Jian Wushuang reached the 60th floor, he looked down, and it was full of clouds and mist, and he couldn't see the scene below. If you want to be here, you must at least match the Tribulation Realm. Hui Qing said calmly. But Jian Wushuang, who was standing on the side, was about to drop his eyes. The 60th floor should be comparable to the Robbery Realm. Doesn't it mean that Hui Qing already has the power of the Tribulation Realm? Last time it was the best. This time it is almost a disaster. The speed is too fast. How many floors is the quotient? Hui Qing pointed downwards and replied, he is on the 58th floor. On the 58th floor, that was also half-step Tribulation Realm or even comparable to Tribulation Realm's combat power. On the Tomb Mountain, there are 88 floors, divided by realm. In terms of real combat power, I am afraid that the gap is not too big. Brother Wushuang, go in and chat. Hui Qing raised his hand and asked Jian Wushuang to enter the cave. The structure of the cave is simple and clear. However, the materials used inside are of great value. The Kanshu Kam is much better than the Dongfu in Yuanyang Island. But in terms of luxury, it is not as good as the Dongfu on Yuanyang Island. In the cave where Hui Qing was located, there was everything that should have been there, and it happened to be enough for Hui Qing to use alone, and there was no extra. Unlike on Yuanyang Island, I can't wait to fill up the cave, and the treasures inside are enough to open up sections. After entering the cave, the two sipped tea and looked back at the past. It's not only embarrassing. More than an epoch ago, both of them were Dayan Immortals. The original Jian Wushuang was no more than rank 3 Dayan Immortal, while Hui Qing was rank 6 Dayan Immortal. Up to now, they still remember the first enemy, Luo Hao, and the God Emperor Mo Long, who made them desperate and oppressive to them. Chapter 5630. However, these people have now fallen. The Taoist monarchs on the original star of Jiajiu, now the weakest, are probably the fifth-order emperors. Tearing the Sky has fallen for almost an epoch, and they were all Tier 5 peak emperors at the beginning. Not to mention a million stars that are bigger than the potential of Tearing the Sky. Although the progress of the Wanqing Emperor who is walking is slow, it has never stopped. Now he has entered the ranks of the 6th-order emperor, and his combat power is not weak. Now that I have left the Temple of Qixin, I heard that it was in the long river of time and space. He took down an entire primitive universe and renamed it the 10,000-star universe. Although he does not control the universe, he has the power of a universe. He is already the overlord of one party. Time flies. Jian Wushuang slowly got up, looked up at the mural on the stone wall of the cave mansion, and said with emotion, "Remember the joy of seeing the innate treasure for the first time?" Hui Qing also stood up, and then turned over a small scarlet building. "Why, I will forget it." This was the innate treasure of Mo Long God Emperor. And it is the congenital peak treasure. That is a treasure used by the emperors. But now, the emperors among the inheritors are all eternal treasures used. There are even the treasures of the universe. This Jian Wushuang is not clear, but Hui Qing is on the Tomb Mountain in this era, but he knows it clearly. Today, the first inheritor of the Tomb Mountain is Hui Qing himself. The second inheritor is the merchant. The third inheritor is a strange ultimate emperor, so much so that even Hui Qing has not seen it a few times. And seldom walked around in the 4 secret realms, and had been practicing in the Tomb Mountain. On the Tomb God Mountain, only those who can reach the 55th floor are eligible for permanent residence. Now there are only 10 people who have obtained this qualification. Hui Qing directly shined the ranking on the stone wall. First, Hui Qing, 60th floor. Second, Shang, 58 floors. Third, Backbone Luo, 54th floor. Fourth, Emperor Guangying, 52 floors. Fifth, Tong Tian Buddha, the 51st floor. Among the top 5, almost all are the first batch of inheritors. Jian Wushuang was surprised that Tong Tian Buddha was ranked 5th. The remaining 5 people are all 50 floors. It was only recently squeezed. The ranking of Hui Qing and Shang is far ahead. If it hadn't been for Broly to be sentenced to the Temple of Difference, I'm afraid he would also be ranked in the top 5. The rate of progress of the quotient is still the same as before, steadily moving forward. It is also the Temple of Qishan, a popular figure who has been promoted to Tribulation Realm. Almost everyone is optimistic that Shang will step into the robbery sooner. Because the space of business has already reached the universe realm, I am afraid they are all completed now. As for the pinnacle secret method, it is only a trace short of reaching consummation. Once they are all consummated, they will be able to reach the 60th floor directly and become a robbery realm. Although Hui Qing's combat power and realm are strong, the time of cultivation is still too short. If you want to become a tribulation realm, you can't practice here all the time, and you need a lot of opportunities. It's just this kind of opportunity, the Qishan is very few inside, and even said that there is nothing that can be pulled out. When Hui Qing joined the Tao, it led to the Three Kings' Court, let alone an opportunity for the tribulation. This kind of opportunity should be in the Temple of Qishan, but there are not many. If you want to become a turning point for the robbery, it is still in the outside world. Jian Wushuang held his breath and concentrated his mind. He felt that the Temple of Qishan was helpful to him when he was in the Emperor. Jian Wushuang, who had peered into the corner of Morwo's time and space, was also longing for the mighty long river of time and space. This is the place where the real strong live, not the artificial secret realm like the Temple of Qishan. The long river of time and space where the primitive universe is now named Miki, it has started to explode. The Emperor first broke out. When the number of emperors reaches a certain level, the robbery realm will also emerge at the historic moment, thus opening up a new era. The era division of Miki Changhe is actually somewhat similar to the original Morwa time and space. From nothing, to the arrival of the Temple of Qi, and then to the Temple of Destruction. I don't know how many levels have been raised directly. The original Morwa time and space, the wild period is not as good as this long river of time and space. At least this long river of time and space, the human race is flourishing. Basically, there are no foreign enemies. The human race has always been born from the primitive universe. It is also peaceful to get along with a special life. The Temple of Qishan and the Temple of Destruction, the same as the god of Morwa time and space, are both opportunities for practitioners to break through. The original Morwa time and space, after the divine destruction, became more powerful. I don't know whether the destruction of the two temples will make this long river of time and space go further. After chatting a lot with Hui Qing, Jian Wushuang gradually got acquainted with the outside world. The main reason why the current Temple of Destruction of the World is able to compete with the Temple of Qishan is that the Temple of Destruction of the World has a very low threshold for recruiting inheritors. In other words, there is no threshold. Even mortals accept it. And the layout is very deep, from top powerhouses to mundane forces. Everyone believes in the Temple of Destruction of the World. Mainly to extinction. Exit. Jian Wushuang's eyes contained lightning, and the cup in his hand was instantly shaken into powder. Hui Qing frowned and asked, "Brother Wushuang, you have dealt with this person, how is his strength?" "I don't know, but he can compete with Master True Spirit. We are not opponents at all." Jian Wushuang shook his head. In fact, he also knew the True Spirit's strength from the mouth of the Frosa, and inferred the current extinction based on the True Spirit's strength. Even stronger than the True Spirit. But he didn't tell Hui Qing. He also has his own thoughts in his heart. The identity of extinction is not that simple, It has something to do with the of Morwa time and space, and it is also related to the Dongjun in the starry sky. It has a great connection with him. This was the second person he couldn't figure out. If it's just a half-step 7 tribulations realm, Jian Wushuang has the confidence and hope to chase without fear. But in terms of the identity of the death in the time of God was probably stronger than the gods. Without absolute strength, he would not take risks. This is also the reason why he dare not go out. Now in the temple of Qishan is full of undercurrents. Although he can't threaten him, it can threaten those inheritors. So that the true spirit gave up the cultivation of inheritors in the Qishan temple. Instead, all the hundreds of millions of inheritors will go out and open up the second generation of inheritors. But in this way, the quality will also drop a lot. In addition to the teachings of the Temple of Destruction, the Temple of Qi is even more passive. Although the treasure is no less than the Temple of Destroying the World. But some treasures are prepared for Tianjiao, so I can't give them all the waste. Especially some emperors with weak roots are of no use at all. The Temple of Destruction has prepared a lot for these. With holy water, you can sacrifice your life and let your strength skyrocket. Chapter 56:31. Although it can't be improved in the later stage, the treasures that can increase the combat power by 100,000 times in a short period of time are more attractive than those that are slowly cultivated. Especially for those emperors with average qualifications. Hui Qing pondered for a while, and finally seemed to have made some kind of decision, and said, "If I go further, no matter what Master True Spirit persuades, I will go out to find out." At this time Jian Wushuang remembered that Jiang Shang had already gone to the Temple of Destruction, and his status was very high. If Broly is the first of war in the Temple of Destruction, then Jiang Shang is like a saint. The strength is terrible. After so long, no one knows how strong she is now. More than half an epoch ago, when the Qinglong Palace Master and Broly fought, they almost directly killed each other. After Jiang Shang made a move, no one knew the outcome, only that Jiang Shang retreated with Broly all over. But Palace Master Qinglong suffered a lot of injuries. This news is top secret, few people know it, and Jian Wushuang also knows it from the White Tiger Palace Master. In order not to affect morale, it was not announced. Now, on the bright side, Qishan Temple has an advantage. But in the long run, the advantage of Qishan Temple will gradually weaken. Jiang Shang's strength can now be said to be the best in the entire time and space. Palace Master Qinglong is not an opponent. If the deity of Mieshing and True Spirit doesn't go out, no one will be her opponent. The only hope is the current Hui Qing. After Zhen Ling figured this out, Hui Qing had been flickering at the Tomb Mountain, fearing that Hui Qing would take refuge in the Temple of Destruction after leaving the Temple of Qishan. What is needed now is hatred. The more people Jiang Shang killed in the outside world, the better, so that Hui Qing and Jiang Shang could go to the opposite side. Hui Qing didn't understand this, but Jian Wushuang understood after a little thought. Perhaps, the future Jiang Shang is not his catastrophe, but Hui Qing's catastrophe. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang couldn't help but feel a little sigh. Hui Qing was too miserable. Jian Wushuang shook his head. Seeing his expression, Hui Qing frowned and asked, "Brother Wushuang, what are your plans this time?" "Let's join hands first," Jian Wushuang said calmly. Now he wants to devote all his thoughts to Kotao. As long as Kotao is successful, nothing will be a problem. Hui Qing also nodded, agreeing, "It's time to join the Dao. I can't quite see your current strength. Once the combination is successful, I'm afraid you will be the first inheritor of the Tomb God Mountain." Hui Qing doesn't have much idea about who is number one. But Jian Wushuang was able to become the number one. He was still very happy. Even if he grabbed the number one from him, it didn't matter. The relationship between the two can be said to be a life and death relationship, and Jian Wushuang has rescued him countless times. "Hui Qing, we can't keep our eyes on the Tomb God Mountain." Jian Wushuang waved his hand. He has no interest in the first inheritor now, and then said, "Don't you always want to go out? Wait for my success. We brothers might as well leave the Temple of Qishan." Although he can do nothing for the sake of strength, Hui Qing is a reliable friend after all. He can't bear to watch Hui Qing become of the true spirit. After Hui Qing heard what he said, he leaked an expression of joy and said, "That's what I think. Then I will go out and learn about the methods of the Temple of Destruction." Regardless of Hui Qing's usually dull, kind eyebrows and good intentions, in fact, the combative heart in her bones is stronger than Jian Wushuang. What is the Temple of Destruction of the world? Jian Wushuang shook his head with a look of disdain, and then said, "Do you know how many time and space there are in this starry sky, and how many powerhouses there are? Why stay here? It's better to go to other long rivers of time and space, raise your strength to the peak, and then return to smooth everything." This is not what he is bragging about. Once the harmony is successful, as long as Jinling does not change his mind, he will open the passage and head to other time and space rivers. As long as the time and space river is similar to the original Morwa time and space, his opportunities will not be worse than the present. And the improvement will be faster. When the time comes, after becoming a robbery, it is enough to return. Based on his background, after becoming a tribulation realm, it is not impossible that he has the treasure of time and space, as well as the beasts and gods that are about to be restored. The identity of extinction is useless no matter how mysterious. In the face of absolute strength, everything is vain. Go to other long rivers of time and space? Hui Qing was stunned, and then said in surprise, "Starry sky." Yes, it's the starry sky. Jian Wushuang nodded. It seems that Hui Qing also knows about the starry sky. Sure enough, the strength of the other party is not only due to the reasons of the previous life, but also the secret of the starry sky. It seems that every person who is against the sky has a connection with the starry sky. But where are we going? Hui Qing was also a little tempted, or she had some concerns. Jian Wushuang pointed to the top and said, "The great true spirit will open up a passage for us." When speaking, he deliberately raised his voice, and his tone was extremely respectful. He doesn't know if the true spirit can see here, but the true spirit will definitely be able to hear the conversation between the two of them. Sure enough, after a while, Zhenling sent someone to summon Jian Wushuang. He and Hui Qing were almost talking about it, and they also told some plans for the future. Go to other long rivers of time and space, strengthen yourself, and then return to the current long river of time and space. Let Hui Qing think about the rest. The one who summoned Jian Wushuang was a guardian of the Tomb Mountain. Jian Wushuang had also seen each other. Not surprised. The reason why this Tomb Mountain bears a tomb character is because the great existence, the god, is buried here. But when I think of it, the relationship between the and death, the great word may be removed. Following the guardian, Jian Wushuang directly reached the top of the mountain. There is a wind pavilion here. Ancient characters are engraved on the top. Holding the pavilion, a long-lasting power made Jian Wushuang's whole body tremble. "I have seen it, Master True Spirit." Jian Wushuang bowed slightly. The true spirit standing in the pavilion, with his back to Jian Wushuang, did not turn his head, and said indifferently, "Come in and sit down." Jian Wushuang cautiously stepped forward. As for the guardian, he had already left wisely. The true spirit overlooks the Tomb Mountain. Where is it standing? Naturally, he dared not really sit down, but was slightly behind half a position, standing next to the true spirit, overlooking the Tomb Mountain together. "I have prepared all the treasures needed by Hedao," Jinling said indifferently. Jian Wushuang was ecstatic in his heart. For the first time, he felt that the true spirit was very generous, and he thought so thoughtfully that he actually prepared the treasures he needed for Hedao. But after another thought, I felt something was wrong. For fear of being pitted by the true spirit, I wanted to refuse. "Don't think about it, I just don't want you to fail in harmony." Zhenling turned his head and glanced at Jian Wushuang, feeling speechless in his heart, and asked himself, did he have that buckle? Chapter 5632. Jian Wushuang knew that the true spirit had seen through the hesitation in his heart, and quickly denied, "It's too late to thank your subordinates, how dare you think about it, this great kindness, Wushuang will always remember." "Ha!" Zhenling snorted coldly and said in a bad mood, I haven't been in harmony yet, I just want to drag the family away, can you remember my favor? This. Jian Wushuang was very embarrassed. At first, the Real spirit told him that he could open a channel to send him into other time and space, but now he says he is going to run away. He broke a piece of true spirit. The investment in Hui Qing is huge. From the first reincarnation to learn, to the later Three Kings Court. The true spirit obviously spent a lot of effort. How could it be broken because he is a Taoist monarch? Master True Spirit, Hui Qing's potential is well known to you and I, you can't be so wasted. Jian Wushuang simply pierced through the screen window and said directly. After Zhen Ling heard it, he was also taken aback. Jian Wushuang is a master who pretends to be confused, how could he suddenly be so direct? Oh, do you think I was wasting his potential? Zhen Ling said, his aura suddenly increased. Jian Wushuang staggered and almost fell. Jian Wushuang stood firm, clasped his fists, and respectfully said, this is not what his subordinates meant, but because of Hui Qing's character. I believe that adults know that Hui Qing's character is by no means an ungrateful person, and there is no need for Jiang Shang's involvement. He will not be against the gods. I said so, but do you know that he once shot Qinglong for that Jiang Shang? There was anger on Zhen Ling's face. When Hui Qing shot Qinglong, he almost gave up Hui Qing. If it weren't for the appearance of extinction, Jiang Shang would be taken away. Now Hui Qing has either fallen or been suppressed. It's not bad to be a now. After Jian Wushuang listened, he shook his head and said gravely, you are wrong. He still expressed his opinion from the bottom of his heart. The reason why Hui Qing shot Qinglong was because he didn't know what was in Jiang Shang's body. I just want an explanation. The original Jiang Shang didn't mean to threaten the temple of Qishan at all. That's why Hui Qing would take action to stop the palace master Qinglong. But now it's different, Jiang Shang went to the temple of destruction. Even if Hui Qing was thinking about her old feelings in her heart, she would not take refuge in the temple of destruction like Jiang Shang. At the same time, Jian Wushuang also understood Zhenling's scruples. What if you end up raising a white-eyed wolf? But he has absolute confidence in Hui Qing. It's impossible. Although the true spirit was relieved, his face was still grim. Maybe I was wrong, but Jian Wushuang knows better than anyone else. In the temple of Qishan, I'd rather be wrong than there should be any accidents. Jian Wushuang straightened his body and looked at the true spirit. At a certain moment, he suddenly felt a little bit painful to understand the true spirit. A true spirit supports this temple of Qishan, still working hard to fulfill the last wish of the gods. Let Qishan temple be great again. The gods were sent away, and the extinction came again. The most important thing is the ambiguity. It seems that Zhenling has seen the true face of Qishan. You know, the is the true spirit, and the true spirit is the god. Although the true spirit is bound to the Qishan temple, it is more like an array spirit. But he has some memories, even habits. This hit the true spirit even more. My lord, maybe we are all right. What's wrong is this era? Jian Wushuang gritted his teeth and said with a heavy tone, I wait for Tianjiao, but I am unwilling to be a pawn. I hope that the adults will complete it. Zhen Ling slowly turned his head, looking to the side of Jian Wushuang. A trace of anger emerged in his eyes, and then disappeared again. It was not that he could not bear it, nor was Jian Wushuang's true feelings that moved him, but he saw a glimmer of hope from Jian Wushuang, or that he saw the future from Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang at that time could move the world. Is a strong man. Only such a strong person can have such a temperament. He didn't see the wrong person as expected. Tell me about your plan. True Spirit calmed down and asked actively. Jian Wushuang saw that there was a play, and directly expressed his thoughts. After he unites, he will not leave alone. It is to take away a group of people. This is not a runaway. Although Jian Wushuang is indeed not authentic sometimes, he can distinguish the kindness of Qishan Temple, and the extinction is mainly for him. After all, it must be right. But he needs time. Go to other long rivers of time and space to practice, and then return after becoming a robbery. At first, he heard that the real spirit wanted to send him away, and he hadn't thought of taking other people away, but since he knew the future, he made a crazy plan. Prepare to let Qishan Temple come to an empty plan. To select a group of people with the most potential and travel to other time and space together is not only for a better cultivation environment, but also for the purpose of leaving a kind of fire. After seeing the miserable situation in the future, Jian Wushuang had to think so. If you rely on him alone, even if you become a tribulation realm, it will take a long time to cultivate to the 5 tribulations realm, or even the 6 tribulations realm. True Spirit had confidence in him, but it didn't mean Jian Wushuang had confidence in him. Everything in the future can be decided. It's like he has always had faith in Hadao, but he failed. If it weren't for his complete Dao heart, I am afraid that he would not be able to walk out of the shadow of the future for a lifetime, and there would still be a lot of resistance to his harmony. It's better now, the Taoist heart is complete, and the hope of harmony is very great. Therefore, he proposed to transfer a group of people and leave together, just to be on the safe side. Zhen Ling hesitated after hearing it. After all, it is a strong man cultivated by the Temple of Qishan, and the resources spent can be said to be countless. Just send it off. What if these people don't come back by that time? This is a bet. Can you guarantee it? Zhenling asked. Jian Wushuang naturally knew what the guarantee was, and swears directly to the source at the moment. I mean others. My lord, can make them take the oath of origin, not afraid they won't come back. Zhenling was still a little worried and then said, what if they suppress the realm? This Jian Wushuang had also thought about it a long time ago. Then he explained, don't worry my lord, if there are such people among our inheritors, they are not qualified to go to other time and space rivers. Those who are qualified to go will definitely not have this plan. After all, they don't know the power of extinction. Zhenling was still satisfied with this explanation, and after nodding his head, he did not give an accurate answer. Jian Wushuang also knew that this kind of thing still had to give True Spirit some time. After waiting for a while, he changed the subject and talked about extinction. The matter of extinction can't be announced to the public for the time being. His identity is very mysterious, even I can't figure it out. Zhenling shook his head and said, this is nothing, but it seems that the real spirit does not know as much as he knows. Chapter 56:33. However, the True Spirit didn't intend to make it public, and he couldn't let the True Spirit know that the extinction came from God. My lord, what will happen after his death power is combined with my life power? Zhenling leaked a smile, stretched out his palm, and suddenly 2 groups of power appeared. This is the origin of water and fire. What will happen to the combination of them? Jian Wushuang said directly, the combination of water and fire is against the trend, especially the combination of origin. Few people in Dian Immortal do it. Once the combination is successful, it can explode 100 times or even 1,000 times more power than pure water and fire. The origin is much stronger. That's right, just like the combination of life and death, I don't know what will become, but I know that after they merge, they will be very powerful, even beyond the origin of time. Exceeding the origin of time, it also means that it is stronger than the robbery realm. It is too difficult to say so, but to do it. No wonder extinction will pursue him, from the of Murwa time and space to the present. Once integrated, that is the power to transcend the tribulation realm. Zhenling also valued this point before he changed his view. By the way, I forgot to tell you that apart from you, Jiangshang also has life force in her body, but not as pure as yours. It should be the life force of the original spirit in her body. After Jian Wushuang heard this, he was shocked and didn't dare to say, how is this possible? Subsequently, an unprecedented vitality burst out directly from the body, condensing a huge green sphere. He pointed to the sphere and said, probably how much better than this? This life force probably occupies 1/10 of the life force in his body. Zhenling was frightened by the sight and jumped far away, his eyes rounded, staring at the life force and said in shock, it's not so exaggerated, her original spirit is very fragile and possesses the power of life is probably the vitality of a tribulation realm, or the vitality of vegetation life, and it is probably 1/10,000th of this group of vitality. Ha! Jian Wushuang let out a sigh of relief before he felt relieved. Zhenling was surprised at the bottom of his heart and expressed absolute affirmation for choosing Jian Wushuang. This is too outrageous. Even a bold idea appeared in his mind. If Jian Wushuang were to preside over the big formation, what would happen to the body of the god? In the first prison, Jian Wushuang's life force was able to restore Fo Yigo, and Jian Wushuang is now stronger than before. After the success of Hadao, it is a qualitative leap. Of course, relying on the physical body alone cannot revive the gods, and he still needs his true spirit. Take the true spirit as the source to restore the body of the god. If he really wants to succeed, I'm afraid he will be able to get rid of the Temple of Qixin and go out. However, he did not intend to tell Jian Wushuang directly, but waited for Jian Wushuang to become the emperor first. He really wanted to see how powerful Jian Wushuang would become after becoming an emperor. A Taoist monarch can be as strong as this. Becoming an emperor, I can hardly imagine. After learning about the current situation, Jian Wushuang did not plan to go to the tomb's sacred mountain for a while. Instead, he planned to go directly to the place prepared by the true spirit for him to retreat again. This retreat is for harmony. Tomb God Mountain. Public area. Mountains and seas. Here, there is a natural origin of everything, among which I opened up the cave. You can go directly in. As soon as the real spirit pointed out, the sea broke open, revealing a huge sea mountain range. Jian Wushuang's eyes straightened, and he had seen the light radiating from that mountain. That is the mine. It is a rare mine. It is more valuable than 9 Dragon Mountain. I am afraid that such a mountain range is comparable to the space Huaming Mountain. The natural origin of everything. That should be the original source. Jian Wushuang was a little excited. Before he joins the path, he will raise all of his body to the limit. Only in this way can we have greater certainty. The limit of the divine body, the limit of the source. He has to do it. Remember, you can't be anxious in harmony, and the cohesion of space can't make any mistakes, otherwise it will be difficult for your kendo to blend in. Zhenling asked. Jian Wushuang nodded, and after thanking him, he was not polite, and went straight into the mountain cave mansion. After passing through a curtain of water, Jian Wushuang entered the cave that the true spirit had prepared for him. This cave is a little messy, not as magnificent as he thought. There are even some weeds on the walls. Of course, the grass that can grow here is not a weed, but some elixir. It's just that these help to Jian Wushuang was so small that it was naturally not seen in his eyes. Instead, go straight to the depths. That's where the real spirit opened up. A huge stone bed. There is a trace of the power of all things rising above. It seems to be the natural power of all things mentioned by the true spirit. And above the stone bed, there is a mustard seed suspended. Look what treasure is there. Jian Wushuang stretched out his hand and directly absorbed the mustard seeds into his hand. The moment Nianli penetrated the mustard seeds, the bright light in front of his eyes flickered. Then frowned. This is... Jian Wushuang stared at the treasure in the beam of light in surprise, his face full of shock. Beast God's flesh and blood. And it's the flesh and blood of the golden beast god. The golden beast god that can represent space. The flesh and blood of the space beast god. This help to his harmony is simply too great. Jian Wushuang's breathing was a bit heavy. This flesh and blood can not only help him condense the origin of the space, but also help him improve the divine body, and even the beast weapon. After thinking of the beast soldier, he directly took off the beast soldier. I have been thinking about letting the true spirit help him restore the full power of the beast weapon. Now it seems that he can do it himself is enough. He had already gathered all the parts of the beast god soldier. On the stone bed, the beast soldier who retreated from Jian Wushuang was floating. From top to bottom, they are the eye of the candle dragon, the blood skull of the candle dragon, the wings of the candle dragon, the inner armor of the candle dragon, the claws of the candle dragon, and the heart of the candle dragon. Plus this flesh and blood. Jian Wushuang suddenly had an idea in his heart. Raising his hand to refine the flesh and blood and instill it into the beasts, a complete skeleton was formed in an instant. Jian Wushuang took out the blood of the 8-clawed beast emperor that had been killed at the beginning of the earth, and the force of life continued to give birth, refining the blood of 10,000 battles into one drop, which fell on the heart of the beast god. Superior. A series of invisible barriers began to be born. It is a complete space and it is very stable. Sure enough, it's the same as I guessed. Jian Wushuang leaked a smile, looked up at the perfect space. The sword intent in his body kept humming. But he did not integrate directly. This space can be used for reference. He has to comprehend in this space and then create his own space. Chapter 5634. Once the space is formed, he is only left with Hadao. This time, it is the most primitive space to comprehend. The life force in the body continued to emerge and explode, all of which was input into the inside of the beasts. In this space, the beasts seem to have revived. The lifelike candle dragon wanders in space. Complete beasts and soldiers. The origin of it is formed from the nutrients in the flesh and blood, but it is still a little weak now, and it will be necessary for him to slowly accumulate in the future. Jian Wushuang didn't care too much about this. He cares more about this space. Hadao. Ordinary Dao monarchs need to open up space within their origin. It is relatively easy to understand the origin of space in advance. After opening up the space, integrate one's own Tao into the space. Then a powerful source will appear in his space. For example, the primitive universe is a universe where everything is born naturally. There are countless ways inside. If you want to control it, you need your own spatial origin, which is stronger than the origin of the original universe. Space is everything for the emperor, and the emperor only had room for cultivation. Constantly making the space stronger, the emperor's strength will become stronger and stronger. Moreover, after becoming an emperor, he has his own space, which can accommodate everything, and the richness of the foundation is not comparable to that of the Taoist. The reason why Jian Wushuang is so against the sky is not because of his strong background, because he has all things in the extreme, so he is so strong. Every emperor has space, and it can be said that every emperor is similar to Jidao. It's just that the power of all things in their space is too small to be swallowed, and they can only be refined slowly. Jian Wushuang's Jidao is a quick success. After understanding this, Jian Wushuang soon made some adjustments to himself. The sea of origin in the body began to gather continuously. He wants to use countless powers of all things to create an unprecedented space, and then integrate his own kendo into it. The power of all things is transformed by Jidao. In this way, his Jidao will completely disappear, or in other words, his Jidao will be transformed into a space, and will accompany him in another posture. Come back. Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged on the stone bed, beckoning. The soaring candle dragon flew into his body. Click. Sung. The dark red armor wrapped Jian Wushuang tightly. A single eye, exuding a dark red halo, and there are brown electric arcs flickering around. The origin of the beast god, although still a little weak, but with Jian Wushuang's life force, directly burst out all potential. Before joining the Dao, I didn't expect to refining the beast warriors to perfection. This made Jian Wushuang very surprised and delighted. Before he joined together, he still had an important thing to do. That is the second soul. He wants to leave behind a group of Taoist origins, ready to refine the second soul. As long as there is the origin of the Taoist and the continuous life force to nourish it, it will always exist. After he succeeds in harmony, he can go to refine this second soul. At that time, directly refining to become the emperor's soul, the strength will be even stronger. This is given to him by the true spirit. With the second soul, he can let the deity go to other time and space for adventure, and the second soul stays in the Qishan temple, which is considered to have made 2 preparations. After setting up everything, he began to feel his state of mind, let himself fall into the real cultivation, and maintain his peak state. Overnight, nothing happened. In Jian Wushuang's mind, everything suddenly appeared empty. Distracted thoughts disappeared one after another, replaced by space. A complete space was placed in front of him. Gather! Jian Wushuang shouted in a low voice. In the sea of origin, thunder and lightning flashed. On the sea, sea tornadoes are constantly pouring out. Countless sea water rose into the sky, as if there was a suction in the sky. The sea of origin within the body continued to gather power, and a film of enchantment began to appear. Diameter 100,000 miles. A perfect space is being born. This is a pure space. Jian Wushuang has not yet used the power of all things. An ordinary Taoist who can do this step is actually very close to the success of the Tao. The diameter of 100,000 li in the body, once the connection is successful, it is a second-order emperor. But Jian Wushuang comprehended space in advance, and even elevated the origin of space to the realm of black holes. How could it just give up? Pole. In that miniature space, countless violent powers suddenly burst out. That is the origin of Jian Wushuang's space. The pole is the black hole. Taking the central pole as the scope, the black hole continues to expand. It's just that without the blessing of the power of all things, the black hole expands very slowly. But Jian Wushuang was not in a hurry. Zhen Ling hereby confessed that he shouldn't be anxious. How could he get confused? The meal needs to be eaten bite by bite. He must first completely stabilize the origin of the space, and then expand with the extreme path. The origin of his space has reached the realm of the black hole, although the expansion is slow, but once it expands, even if there is no extreme way, he can reach the level of the sixth-order emperor in one fell swoop. The prerequisite for becoming a sixth-order emperor is the realm of the black hole. Of course, indigenous people with incomplete origins can reach the sixth-order emperor without reaching the black hole state, and reaching the black hole realm can become the ultimate. However, Jian Wushuang's origin has no flaws. Not only does it have no flaws, it is also very complete, and it can even be said to be abnormal. It is said that the expansion is slow. But in the time of just a stick of incense, that space has turned into 1,000,000 li in size. Moreover, the speed of expansion becomes faster as you get to the back. In the space, for every 100,000 li, a star will appear. Jian Wushuang's space origin has countless stars. Ordinary emperors, the space condensed when they join the Tao, can accommodate a few stars. It is not bad. An elite like tearing the sky, it can hold 100 stars when in general harmony. Going up is the Taoist monarchs who follow 10,000 ways, such as Jiyu Taoist and Wanqing Taoist. The strength of these people in Daojun is no less than the ultimate Daojun, and can generally accommodate tens of thousands of stars. But after arriving at the emperor, the speed of cultivation will become very slow, but in general, there is still some improvement. It's just that the speed is too slow. Firstly, there is no perfect method. Even in the temple of Qishan, Wandaolius inheritance is very small. Also, the Lord of all things has a fairly complete inheritance. But that inheritance is not something that everyone can cultivate. It is still in the Tomb Mountain and no one can take it away. Only some fur can be cultivated. Then there is the ultimate way. The ultimate Taoist, the space condensed when we join Tao, the weakest is 50,000. It is more against the sky, it can condense millions of stars to form a galaxy. Even Shanghai. Now the number of stars in Jian Wushuang's space has increased to 10,000. One day passed. The longest part of the harmony is not the condensed space, but the fusion behind it. This time Jian Wushuang joined the Tao, and he went there for 10,000 years, or even millions of years. End of this chapter. Chapter 56-35. His extreme way is unprecedented, and it takes a long time. 3 years passed in a blink of an eye. Tomb on the mountain. There are only two people who know that Jian Wushuang is in harmony. One is True Spirit, and the other is Huiqing. Knowing that Jian Wushuang was in harmony, Huiqing was more anxious than Zhen Ling. He didn't even have the mind to practice in the cave, but sat quietly on a mountain peak in the public area, swaying to look at the mountain and sea. Inheritor Huiqing, I want to challenge you. A tender voice came, attracting a lot of eyes. After all, this place is a public area. There are many inheritors. On the Tomb God Mountain, you can challenge at will. Of course, you can choose not to respond. Huiqing is the first inheritor and has a high status in the Tomb Mountain. No one except the true spirit can call Huiqing. A little guy dared to jump out to challenge Huiqing, which made many old inheritors sneer. The immature inheritor is the one who came with Jian Wushuang. Golden Shadow. Huiqing knew it. And beside Jiang, there is a young girl. She is Ji Chaoyang's little niece. Huiqing's temper was surprisingly good, but it happened to be boring, so she took up the challenge. For a time, countless people were in an uproar. Even on the Tomb Mountain, the previous inheritors have also left the pass. Especially the most hostile backbone Luo, in the top 5 Jian Wushuang didn't know the shock of the outside world. Condensing space, there is never a pause. Now he has contained thousands of stars in his condensed space. Call. It should be the limit. Jian Wushuang gasped. When Huiqing joined the Tao, there were 8 million stars. Because Huiqing didn't reach the realm of black holes at the beginning, but only mastered 80% of the black holes. A black hole represents thousands of stars. The origin of Jian Wushuang's space reached the limit of Daojun, and it was a whole black hole. It is no longer possible to condense a second black hole. This is the limit of his current space origin. However, this is not his own limit. He has not only the origin of space, but also the origin of extreme Tao that is even more against the sky. The power of all things, through the black hole, hits instantly. Jian Wushuang's whole body was trembling. The space in the body expands again. This time has exceeded the scope of a big world. A star represents 100,000 miles. A black hole represents 10 million stars. In the space where Jian Wushuang condensed, 2 black holes rose instantly. In addition to the black holes at the origin of space, there are already 3 black holes. The 4th seat is also slowly staring. In just 1 hour, he added 3 black holes. Jian Wushuang himself was taken aback. Space origin is expanding slowly. After all, the combat power of space origin is still too weak. It's just a simple step from the 5th order emperor to the 6th order. His real trump card is still Ji Dao. Can make him reach the ultimate perfection directly. The eternal changes and the starry sky catalog. This is all with the power of the stars. Unfortunately, the power of the starry sky does not belong to everything. He couldn't condense too much, otherwise he wouldn't dare to imagine how powerful his space would be. The 7th seat. Jian Wushuang roared, already feeling a trace of pressure. The 7th seat is formed. This time he spent a whole day. Subsequently, the birth of black holes is getting slower and slower. It is contrary to the origin of his space. With the experience of devouring the origin of the universe, Jian Wushuang didn't panic at all. He couldn't calculate the stars in the origin of the universe. But he knew the number of black holes. There are more than 10,000 seats. 10,000 black holes can form a cosmic force. And the Lord of the Universe, at least 10 times stronger than the power of a universe, can control the original universe. Therefore, after becoming a tribulation realm, the 3 tribulations realm will generally master the universe and become the Lord of the Universe. Of course, there are some who are against the sky, instead of refining the original universe, but creating a universe by themselves. Lift the space in one's body to the universe. This requires agglomeration of thousands of black holes. The power needed is simply massive. Jian Wushuang had never thought that he could condense such a powerful space when he was in harmony. Now let's do it step by step. Go for 1,000 black holes. If this is known to outsiders, I am afraid that he will be mocked for his ignorance. But Jian Wushuang himself knew that once he used some of the power of the stars, it is really possible for him to reach 1,000 seats, or even break through 1,000. Because the starry sky is too vast. It carries not only the universe, but also many long rivers of time and space. This time, it took him a full 100 years to exhaust the power of Ji Dao and condense 76 black holes. This is the pinnacle of the 6th order emperor. And without any power, starry sky. Jian Wushuang's thought power was instantly mobilized. Eternal change. His breath also reached its peak state. The first change in eternity. The breath directly rose to the perfection. This time there was no muddle-headedness. The condensation of black holes is like stars. It broke through 100 in an instant. 200 seats. Jian Wushuang was ecstatic in his heart, and he was almost as expected, breaking through 1,000 seats. It should be more than rubbing. The space in the body also expands continuously. 600 seats. Jian Wushuang nodded in satisfaction. There are already 600 constellations. Although the power of the starry sky is low, the speed of condensing has not decreased, indicating that it has absorbed less. 800 seats. This time Jian Wushuang was a little uncomfortable, and his heart was beating wildly. Because the growth rate is not slow, but faster. The time for just a stick of incense has broken through 1,000 seats. This exceeded his expectations. Impossible! Jian Wushuang's eyes rolled round. He himself couldn't believe it. Although the larger the space, the more condensed black holes, the stronger it will be. But he was still a little worried. Worried that I will die. 1003. Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank, and now he stopped praying. He doesn't know whether this state is good or bad. It's almost there. I didn't want to be so strong. 1008. Jian Wushuang is no longer under control, and the speed of space expansion is even faster. He can't see the end himself. I can't even guess how I will stop. 2000. Jian Wushuang was completely stupid. 2,000 black holes. This is already the space universe. Even beyond the universe. The level of the spatial realm is very clear. 1,000 black holes can almost reach the realm of the universe. 2,000 seats are now considered the peak or even the limit. If it expands further, it will really become a universe. The universe is just a realm. Want to reach the outer space? Tens of thousands of black holes are needed, and within the black holes, a cosmic secret realm must be born. Fortunately, no secret realm has appeared. Jian Wushuang observed carefully. He was really afraid that he would directly open up a universe. Chapter 5636. When the time comes, how can he merge Tao? Although the ultimate way is complete, it is too small compared to a universe. Just like a thin bamboo pole to stir the vast ocean. I don't feel a bit. The black hole in the center began to rupture. Jian Wushuang held his breath. The next moment the black hole burst, and the power of all things inside instantly rushed out. A complete mystery was revealed in front of him. Jian Wushuang almost fainted. At this time, the space he condensed had exceeded 4,000 black holes and still did not stop. He was almost desperate. It looks like it is really going to impact the universe. A Taoist condenses space to join Tao and directly opens up a universe. What does this make those old monsters of the robbery realm think? If he really wanted to open up the universe, Jian Wushuang could be compared to the powerhouse of the three tribulations realm in one step. At that time, the condensed universe is very powerful, but it does not match your ultimate way. This is the failure of the reunion. In the future time and space, he failed in harmony, probably because of this. No! Jian Wushuang shook his head again. He needs to stabilize the Taoist heart. It needs to be calm. No matter what you face, you must be calm. Don't worry. Jian Wushuang had a perfect Tao heart, but in an instant, the tumbling emotions calmed down. This calmness reminded him of the catalogue of the starry sky. Yeah. Jian Wushuang was overjoyed in an instant, and cheered in his heart. I still have a starry sky catalogue. When you are in harmony, you only need to use the starry sky catalogue. The ultimate kendo will become the starry sky kendo, and it will be more powerful. Does the space match up? What a clever life. He should have thought of it long ago. Can use the first change in the past to condense space. He can use the starry sky catalogue to let the starry sky kendo merge into the space. At that time, he might really be able to master the power of the starry sky. From the very beginning, the power of thought, the power of the mind, the power of swallowing, the power of all things, and the power of life. Now it is the even more unpredictable power of the starry sky. It does not mean that the power of the starry sky is inherently stronger than the power of life. Only fit is not fit. Just like the power of swallowing. Although Jian Wushuang seldom uses it now, It doesn't mean that the power of swallowing is weaker than the power of all things. In fact, they are not much different. Today's Jian Wushuang is obviously more suitable for mastering the power of the starry sky. This kind of power did not evolve from Jidao. It is the power that Jidao stolen through the stars. It is not as simple as turning everything into life force. That's why Jian Wushuang didn't expect it for a while. Thanks Tut, testify. Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. The condensed space also stopped at this moment. There are no signs. 5,000 black holes. And a cosmic mystery. This is a semi-finished universe. The consummation powerhouse among the absolute peaks is probably not as powerful as his space. Of course, the ultimate combat power is not only related to the origin, but also more important secrets. Now Jian Wushuang didn't have the mind to think about this, but set out to prepare for the fusion. A flower exuding endless time and space appeared. The other side flower. The origin contained in the Starry Sky catalog still has time and needs the blessing of this other shore flower. Go! Jian Wushuang threw the other side flower and flew into the center of the space. The flower on the other side is the treasure in the long river of time and space, and it is of great help to the Lord of the universe. This time, he has spent a great price in harmony. Pour out all the treasures to fight for a perfect harmony. Leave no regrets. A total of 5,000 black holes, and a cosmic secret, this space is extremely stable. In the future, this is his origin. The more stable the better. This represents the bottom line. I am afraid that the strong man who has just entered the robbery realm is not as powerful as his space. This hasn't been completely in harmony, and then there is his ultimate way. Flowers. Jian Wushuang's voice was low. In the next moment, the Higan flower burst out with infinite light, overlooking the entire space. Click. Jian Wushuang's eyes condensed and his eyes suddenly shrank. There are countless cracks in the space. This made Jian Wushuang unexpected. For a while, my mind trembled suddenly. Gather! Fortunately, the Taoist consummation did not make him lose his mind. If there is a crack in the space, then perfect it. All of a sudden, countless treasures flew out and continuously entered his condensed space. But these treasures were instantly swallowed by those black holes when they first entered the space, and the cracks could not be repaired at all. What is this? Jian Wushuang couldn't believe it. According to the information he had obtained, it was normal for the space to appear cracks during the meeting and only needed to be repaired. Why can't it be repaired? Jian Wushuang took out the prepared treasure again and threw it into the space. And the black holes in the mobilization space are all closed. This time, all the treasures turned into a torrent, and the coefficient entered the crack. Just when Jian Wushuang thought it could be repaired, those cracks expanded again. After the flowers of the other shore bloomed, they disappeared completely, falling into countless cracks. At the core, 9 huge gaps burst. Jian Wushuang's breathing became quicker. Countless small cracks overlooked the entire space. It's over! Jian Wushuang was a little desperate. Cracks that cannot be repaired. The space is not complete, and it is too difficult to integrate the ultimate way. Ji Dao helps to evolve the space, and the ultimate Dao is merged into it. Even if he succeeds in harmony, the cracks that appear now cannot be repaired. That also means that his strength will continue to be lost. This is exactly the same as what will happen in the future. Repeat the same mistakes. No! Jian Wushuang's eyes burst, instantly raising his aura to the peak, because in the condensed space, his strength directly climbed to the level of the tribulation realm. He is not reconciled. How can such a powerful space be given up? Those cracks can't stop him. He will fight to the death and forcibly integrate the ultimate way into it. Anxious. He was really anxious this time. He couldn't bear the consequences of the failure of Hadao. Even if Dao Xian is perfect, he is very anxious. Starry Sky Catalog. Jian Wushuang shouted angrily, and a divine sword made from its origin descended, with the power of the starry sky above it, directly piercing into the cracked space. With the burst of breath, you reading www.ukanshu. Calm caused Jian Wushuang to suffer a violent backlash, vomiting blood, and his origin was trembling. The originally powerful 50,000 times divine body had already begun to break. Looking down at the crack on his body, Jian Wushuang's heart was cut like a knife. Fusion failed. The divine sword made by the ultimate source pierced into the space and then burst. During a brief period of surprise, Jian Wushuang's mood slowed down a bit. That is, in such a moment, Jian Wushuang saw a scene of the past in a daze. There is a starry sky. There are also cracks in the endless starry sky. The savage encountered in the starry sky had cracks in his body. End of this chapter. Chapter 5637. No! Jian Wushuang shook his head, looked at the space suddenly and exclaimed, "This is not a crack." Among the 9 huge cracks and countless small cracks, there are still white cracks that are not big or small. That is the appearance of the long river of time and space. At this moment Jian Wushuang understood. He is a condensed space. This is a description of the starry sky. The sword that was just now was hit crookedly, and the space began to undergo tremendous changes at this time. The original 3-dimensional space has become a catalog. The space in the catalog has evolved into an endless starry sky. It's dark. There was pitch black in front of Jian Wushuang's eyes, and he could only see a small spot, where was his original space. There are 5,000 black holes and a cosmic secret realm inside. As for the crack, it is reflected in the starry sky. His condensed space illuminates the starry sky. Successful! Jian Wushuang shouted in disbelief, "I made it!" He clenched his fists with both hands and suddenly exploded. His strength instantly rose to an unprecedented level. That power made him full of confidence. The power of the starry sky is almost infinite. The power of life is 10,000 times stronger than before. Jian Wushuang at this time, the strength is almost endless. Because he can mobilize the power of a starry sky. After the joy, Jian Wushuang began to look at the original space in his body. Or it can be said to be the original starry sky. After entering, it is the space he personally condensed, which is considered a semi-finished universe. All around, it was pitch black. There were only cracks, which he could clearly see. In other areas, he needs to continue to be strong to be able to light up. He can't even light up a universe now. I don't know when he will be able to light up a whole starry sky, or light up a small long river of time and space. Now he saw the long river of time and space, which was dark gold, containing the power of time and space, but there was no universe. His semi-finished universe is even more unremarkable. It's time to leave. Jian Wushuang's origin clone stayed in the origin star sky, while the deity returned to the flesh. Hadao was completely successful. From then on, he was the emperor. And his name has to be changed. He is no longer the invincible Dao Jun, but the invincible monarch. Now Jian Wushuang, how powerful he is, even he himself doesn't know. Call. With a suffocating breath, Jian Wushuang ushered in the long-lost ease. I can finally take a breath. Time has continued to urge him to be strong, and now he has finally reached the emperor. The most difficult combination has succeeded. Only the opportunity of the robbery is left. Now that he has just broken through the emperor, his original realm has soared directly to the realm of the universe. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to condense a semi-finished universe. Mahayana Space Universe. The pinnacle secret, the starry sky. It has also been perfected. All that is left is to complete the space and master the time. When he was in Daojun, although he did not get the recognition of the origin of time, he was able to mobilize a trace of the origin of time when he displayed the catalogue of the starry sky. I believe it will not take long before he will be recognized by the origin of time. But the prerequisite is that he wants the space to reach completion. The perfect space is actually the universe. An ordinary emperor with 3,600 black holes can form the universe. 1,000 black holes have already reached the realm of the universe. As for Jian Wushuang's space and universe, I am afraid that it needs tens of thousands of black holes, or even more. Now that I just broke through, I'm not in a hurry. Tribulation is not so easy. Combining the path and becoming the turning point of the robbery can be regarded as a watershed. The difficulty of the two is equal. But every opportunity that becomes a robbery is the same degree of difficulty. This is different from Hadao. Right now, there are still many areas to improve, so there is no need to be so anxious. His divine body, as well as the origin of space, all need to be improved. And the treasure of time and space, he can observe more now. It used to be just able to observe some size chess pieces. Now I can finally observe the font size of the generals. Before Jian Wushuang's eyes, a magnificent chessboard suddenly appeared. There are many chess pieces in the upper part, but there are only 360 chess pieces in the general size. There are only 72 pieces of handsome size. There are only 9 chess pieces of god size. How strong and weak. The first true king at the time was nothing more than a general name. And the first true king can be a powerhouse in the 5 tribulations realm. The handsome chess pieces on the top are probably the weakest ones from the origin of the 6 tribulations realm. Where did these chess pieces come from? Jian Wushuang was a little curious. One pointed out wanting to peek at the chess pieces of the general size. But a huge suction force allowed Jian Wushuang's breath to enter the chessboard. A vortex suddenly condensed over the chessboard. Jian Wushuang's breath also turned into a trace of origin, and he was finally fixed in the of the soldier. At this moment he completely understood. These chess pieces originally came from this way. But if this were the case, wouldn't the first owners suffer a lot? At that time, I am afraid that there are no chess pieces on the board. This is the super treasure that teacher Xian Yi left to him, and he naturally devoted more thoughts and doubts. Now that he has become an emperor, he can only manipulate it in front of him, and he is constantly groping. It can be regarded as relaxation after Hadao. After constant exploration, especially after reading the chess record of the first true king, he finally figured out the manipulation technique of this treasure. Get up! Jian Wushuang pointed out, carefully controlling a pawn-sized chess piece. After the chess piece was difficult to place, the internal origin began to rush out, and then transformed into a shadow of the origin in a hat. And the breath on his body is at least the pinnacle. It was much stronger than the 9-clawed beast king back then. Master! See you with a respectful figure in Yin. Jian Wushuang nodded, quite satisfied. Next, he continued to revive those pawn-sized chess pieces. According to the introduction in the chess book of the first true king, if you have the power of the robbery, you can turn on the size chess pieces. The first true king at the time was able to summon more than a dozen chess pieces when he was consummated. Among them, the most powerful chess piece is already comparable to the first true king who was an emperor at the time. Enabling recovery is also very simple. Yu reading www. Calm is the power to manipulate the chessboard. Of course, there is another important point, and it is also very difficult for others. That is the power of life, but this pair of Jian Wushuang is the simplest. His current vitality is more than enough to illuminate the font size, but the power to manipulate the chessboard is still a bit too weak. Now he can't even manipulate the soldier's name and can't do whatever he wants. It also needs constant temptation. Don't worry about this, put it into the origin star sky, let the clone slowly explore it. The deity is the beginning of the cultivation of the divine body. The 6th layer of the divine body. Start to improve on the basis of 50,000 times. The large amount of divine body treasures he had obtained earlier was completely used up at this moment. Chapter 5638 turned out to be a bit disappointing. The final freeze frame was about 60,000 times. That is, the countless treasures he has collected is only 60,000 times. Among the absolute tops, this can only be regarded as an introduction, let alone the robbery. There is no divine body that is 80,000 times larger, and it is simply not enough to match the tribulation realm. In some universes that cultivate divine bodies, there are some extreme generations who directly abandon their roots to cultivate divine bodies. What I want is that pure and terrifying supernatural power. Jian Wushuang has also seen some divine body practitioners in the tribulation realm in some ancient books. Is a method obtained from other time and space. It has the most perfect divine body refining method, which can make the body rise very quickly, and the increase is also a lot. But it's hard to get it. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang has beast soldiers. Now his basic divine body is 60,000 times. Once he casts a full-body beast weapon, he himself can't imagine how powerful it will be. Last step. The second soul. Jian Wushuang looked at the origin contained in the corner, hooked it, and took advantage of the catalysis of Gyuda's heart. A pain of tearing consciousness made him grin. Lasted for almost an hour, and the second soul succeeded. A figure exactly like Jian Wushuang stood opposite him. I have seen the deity. I have seen the second soul. When Jian Wushuang leaked a smile, the other's face also leaked a smile. Because they are all one. Jian Wushuang took out a set of top eternal treasures and handed it to the second soul. Also took out a lot of basic treasures, handed them to the second soul, and then put the opponent into the original starry sky. The current second soul, although he is the emperor, but his strength is probably a little weak. Still need a lot of treasures to invest. But the second soul, long-term sitting in the tomb mountain, but can easily obtain a lot of treasures. Exit. Jian Wushuang directly stood up, the surrounding breath vibrated. Then returned to peace. Even the space couldn't sense Jian Wushuang, and Jian Wushuang had already left the cave. Mountain and sea. The waves are rough. A shadow of a figure appeared above. The true spirit was the first to find out and set off directly. After seeing Jian Wushuang's breath change, he suddenly leaked out of joy and said, Okay, very good. The success of Jian Wushuang Hadao has caused the entire foundation of the Temple of Qixin to rise a lot. How can we not make the true spirit happy? Master True Spirit. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Hui Qing, who has been observing here, also discovered that his exit, turned into a streamer, arrived in an instant, but Bai Zhenling was a little slow. Congratulations, Wushuang brother. Hui Qing hurried forward to congratulate. It took Jian Wushuang 100,000 years to join the Tao this time. The time is neither long nor short. Go back and say it. Zhenling waved his big hand, and an aura wrapped the two of them to the top of the Tomb God Mountain in an instant. The three of them sat in a circle. Jian Wushuang fooled around the experience of Hadao, and then began to ask the true spirit's plan. Now Jian Wushuang, there is no need to stay in the Temple of Qixin, only to go out. But the outside world, with the strength of extinction, a half-step 7 tribulation realm. Although it has been assimilated with the Temple of Destruction, but who knows if it can come out again. At the beginning, the opponent broke God and entered Morua time and space. Jian Wushuang would naturally not take this risk. Even if he was confident now, Zhenling would not let him out. So I can only go to other time and space. However, I originally planned to let Jian Wushuang go alone, but now Jian Wushuang proposed to bring a group of people to go together. This makes the real spirit very embarrassed. The current situation is not optimistic. It's a trivial matter that there is not enough manpower to deploy a group of super inheritors. After these people have achieved success, it will be a bigger matter not to come back. This matter, I still need to think about it again. Zhenling was a bit older for a while. Jian Wushuang saw this and couldn't say much, he could only nod his head. Hui Qing on the side, but hesitated. If so, he is ready to go to the long river of time and space. Seeing Hui Qing's appearance, Zhenling also understood. The three of them were speechless one after another. In the end, Jian Wushuang broke the deposit, changed the subject, and said, Master True Spirit, my second soul, is going to stay in the Temple of Qixin and practice on Tomb God Mountain. I thought, I can't press the treasures together, don't you think? Zhenling rolled his small eyes, wondering what he was thinking about, but he didn't care about Jian Wushuang's second soul. The heart demon thing, do you see? Jian Wushuang heard the demon in his heart, only to remember that the other party was still suppressed by him. Waved his hand and took out the heart demon directly. I was negligent. Jian Wushuang touched his head with some embarrassment. The heart demon should be very important to the true spirit. The original extinction took away 10,000 demons, blood demons and mountain monarchs. Presumably the mind demon is also very important to extinction. Go. Let me out. The heart demon in the bottle yelled continuously after discovering the outside world. When he saw the true spirit, he couldn't help but shrank and didn't dare to yell again. Jian Wushuang unplugged the cork and released the demons. The heart demon stood on the spot, staring at the three of them cautiously. He found that he couldn't beat any of them. Especially the real spirit gave him the feeling, like an ocean. Jian Wushuang is a black hole. Hui Qing is more like an ancient tree, with no waves on average. I agreed to your request, and then? Jian Wushuang stared at the other party and said playfully, Demon is the evil thoughts that people breed, naturally smooth and extremely smooth. After hearing Jian Wushuang's words, he waved his hands and said with a smile, A few adults, the younger ones just feel a little bored, or I will go in again. Said that the inner demon wanted to get into the bottle again, but Jian Wushuang pinched his neck and pulled him over. Master True Spirit, this boy, it seems that I don't know the matter of extinction. Jian Wushuang said calmly. The heart demon was in his hands, and he didn't dare to move at all. After True Spirit heard his words, Yu read the book www. Akanshu. Calm for a moment, then looked at the heart demon, coldly said, You don't know extinction, you should always know the wind demon. Where is he? I know where the wind demon is. The heart demon replied honestly, He was with the demon king, and he was suppressed to the primitive universe. Jian Wushuang saw that the other party cooperated before letting go. The heart demon crawls on the ground. The atmosphere does not dare to take a breath. Knowing that Feng Yimou was down, Zhenling shook his head. In the outside world, there is no way. But it can overwhelm the demons. Then Shanjun can no longer become a perfect body. The three true kings. Demon Lord, Ancient Lord, Mountain Lord. The Demon Lord was suppressed in the primitive universe, and the Ancient Lord couldn't get out of purgatory for a while. The only variable is Shanjun. This is also the reason why the true spirit targets the Mountain King everywhere. Knowing this, Jian Wushuang was also speechless. I wanted to pull Shanjun a hand. It seems that there is no chance now. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.